I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy frickin' Monday. It's that day of the week, down to the hour, minute, and second. Wow, I've got this coming in twice, that we all come together, yes, as a community, to talk about those things that the government won't. To talk about those things from science fiction, to talk about those things that many nights a week we can go out, if we're lucky, to see those things in our backyards. Yes, we're talking about UFOs. We have to ask the question, why in the hell is the government trying to change the language of what UFOs are around the world? Yes, we know they're unidentified flying objects, and potentially they could be unidentified aerial phenomena, or you name it. The truth of the matter is, it's coming down to the lawyers. It's coming down to the legal bits. Let's leave it aside, because the truth of the matter is, our government, yes, the United States government, has been waging a war against these aliens for 75 years, if not longer. And why have they been doing this? Look at the facts. It's not about science. It's not about exploration. It's not about a peace mission. It's the machines of war that are going against these things. Yes, no matter what they do, no matter what they get their hands on, they'll rip it apart. They can't figure it out. Kill whoever they found and rip their bodies apart to try and understand what makes these things tick, let alone not going ahead and sharing the information that comes to be about, yes, we have a genetic link to these creatures, and hey, you know what? We may have been created, like the Catholics said, but sure hell wasn't from God. It was probably by these guys. How could we say that? Well, you know what? We have to ask, why are these bozos trying to keep everything secret for so long? It's about their war machines. It's about their control. It's about their manipulation of the public with their lies, misinformation, and disinformation that Australia's told us all about. Uh-oh, I got a double thing going here. I've got a window going in the background. Where in the hell is it? Oh, there it is. Ha! Let's fix that and jump into the studio. Oh, and the cupcake cam is still up. We can turn that off. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Disclosure Tonight. Hope your day is going well. And as I go ahead and try and, it was like one of those things. It's like, oh shit, the show's going to start. I need to get my ass down to the studio, get stuff together. Where in the fuck is my coffee? Oh, god damn it. I made my coffee and I didn't even pick it up. Yes, it's one of those days. Luke, where's my coffee? Better yet, where in the hell did I do with the chat? I know it's out here somewhere. Wait. There we go. There she is. Let's take a look back. Before I can even get started, let's go ahead and throw it off. Yes, we've got another super chat coming in. This one's coming in, believe it or not, from W. Decker. He is a man in the chat, and he's in the back. We'll be wheeling him out here shortly. Holy cow, what's W. Decker saying to us? Happy CME Day. Yeah, we had a major impact of a CME that the federal government was lying to us about. Oh, no, it's not going to hit the Earth. We're going to put out information showing it completely misses the Earth. Yet, let alone the European Space Agency sends out the truth, and we took a head-on direct impact. Luckily, it was mostly centered over the Pacific. Sorry, Hawaii. Sorry, all those container ships that are shipping the goods from China. That'd be so terrible if you guys couldn't make it. We'd actually have to make the stuff here for once. But either way, I want to thank W. Decker for this wonderful super chat that did not show up. There we go. Happy CME Day. There you go. What a great way to support Disclosure Tonight. Hell, it's the only way to support Disclosure Tonight. Every dollar that comes into our fund goes back into our production. We appreciate all your support and love from everybody as the back of the audience builds, as our panel builds, or as our dial-in callers, viewer call-in builds. Man, we've got one heck of a great conversation going on here today. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and welcome in the chat, shall we? Let's see who the hell we have out there now. At the very top of the chat. Let me shut that off. Yes, I actually have it. It comes with the default option of 200. I didn't change it to 2 of cached messages it'll keep in the queue. I didn't give it 200. I didn't give it 2,000. I gave it 20,000. That means it's all going to be there for me to go back and scroll back and deal with as I need to. As I can see, little Cupcake is getting confused already. She just woke up an hour ago. Yeah, she needed a long nap. She was up for a while this afternoon. But without any further ado, let's bring her in. Come here, Cupcake. Come on, girl. Say hello to our viewers. Our official mascot of Disclosure tonight. Good old 18-year-old Cupcake. It's your birthday in 2 months. You going to make it? I think so. Here you go, Cuppy. Go on, a little pillow. Relax a bit. Enjoy. Let's get down and welcome in the audience. Would you look at that? 4UP has got some great conversations going with himself. I have new videos of the Kippin Alien, everyone. Hang on. There you go at the start of the chat. Be sure to check it out. Susan Goes, Time Traveling Asians. Hello and good evening to everyone. Cannot wait to see part 2 of this topic tonight. I know. Man, you want to talk about something that caused a stir on Twitter?
Holy shit!
Yeah, it really did. Everybody chimed in on this one. Everyone was amazed. My God, getting shared everywhere. Everyone is saying, hey, you need to look at this. And one of the first people I said, you need to take a look at that. Thank you very much, Luke, for some coffee and some unhealthy Tim's Cascade potato chips. What's the flavor today, Luke? Parmesan garlic. Nice and crunchy. I'm going upstairs, Artie. Go on. Get them. Upstairs, Artie. Go on. You can't have chips. Go on. All right, let's move on and see who else we have there. Yeah, but he doesn't eat Cupcake's food. Get him upstairs. Kelly Broad, hi there. How you doing with your piercing blue eyes? And I can say one thing, never piss off a strawberry blonde. I'm sure you can chime in on that, Kelly, but I'm sure you've taught many a lesson in your day. Bill H., welcome, my friend. Yellow Tommy Tanker, also known as Andy, is in the chat, and he's in the back. We'll be bringing him out here shortly. Mick from Australia, flat out like a lizard drinking mate. Crikey! Yeah, a bunch of fucking cunts, I tell you. All the people in the Department of Defense are, my God, just bring out the truth, guys. Owen from Ohio. Welcome, Owen, and hello, everyone. Good to see you, my friend. Peggy and Steve, all the way from Florida. Hey, Google, what's the temperature in Florida?
In Miami, it's currently 71 degrees.
Ooh, high of 85, low of 70. That sounds like nice weather that I could deal with. Yeah, something effed up. Google, I can't even ask it what the temperature is in Birmingham, United Kingdom. It always wants to give me Birmingham, Alabama. It's like it lost its brain. I don't know what the hell Google did. Maybe they're trying to compete with ChatGPT and they're just making Google stupider. Man, Google is based on searching, trying to find information, serving you ads along the way, trying to find content that's sponsored and push it up to the top. It's amazing when you get something like ChatGPT and you ask a question and it gives you the answer. You don't have to search for shit. It'll even write it out for you in paper format. That's why Google is afraid, and they should be. Failed innovation because of monetization is exactly what they're looking like. Bill H., Mondays suck, yes, but when you've got a double, not a double-double, a double espresso. Cheers, my friend. Oh, so good. Joseph Syracuse, good evening from New Jersey. Nothing but to love for my Disclosure Tonight family. Hello, Thomas. I know that reminds me. If you haven't subscribed yet, what the hell are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button. If you're having a good time, give us a thumbs up. And if you're not, give us a thumbs down. If you're going to give us a thumbs down, do us a favor. At least go ahead and tell us why in the comments below. Remember, this podcast is absolutely free. Donations are optional. Who else do we have in the audience? Eli McGinnis is here. Would you look at that? Let me make sure that's put all the way up. Let's see. Do us a favor, Eli. Wait. Pour one for everybody. Pour two for everybody. After all, it's free. Bill H. from our Discord. Welcome, Bill H. Good to see you. Shelly Montgomery. Good to see you, my friend. Super Unknown is back in the audience. Jimmy Jennings is around. Who else do we have out there in the audience tonight? Let's take a look through my magic mirror. Who do I see? Larry Gurnt. Hey, Andy, great to see you. And great to see Larry is back in the chat again. Holy cow. Great conversation tonight. I tell you. Jan is in the middle again. Good to see you, Jan. Always welcome here at Disclosure tonight. You always put a smile on my face. Absolutely. Where in the heck ever happened to Arlene Atkinsell? Oh, yeah, that's right. She follows those other people. Sorry, Arlene. We love you. Love to have you back, but enjoy. Who else do we have in the audience tonight? Who do we have? Clearly, Gary is asleep. His sleep has gravitated back to regular schedule in the United Kingdom. We'll see if we'll ever get him back, hopefully. Captain Brian. Good to see you, Brian. It's not the first Brian. We've got another Brian. Let's see if he's here. Brian from Our Ranch Aragon Fun Channel. Two Brians. It's not a name you see that often, but we do get two of them here on the show. Really? I'm down at the bottom of the chat already. Is the chat that dead? It can't be. Oh, that's why. I have to hit the down arrow on the other window. Is stuck. Electra RC Pine Gap Base is on Google Maps. Is that like the gap between someone's front teeth? Deborah Horn, Kiro 7 News, has got a big one. Big enough to go on the map. Oh, Jackie Radford, good to see ya. Welcome to the show tonight. Who else do we have out in the audience? Nate Law, Fess is the best. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Nate Law. Peace and salutations back to you. Who else do we have? Ant-Man, Anonymous Rex. Yeah, Lobot is in the audience. Better late than never. Only a couple minutes late. Yeah, I guess I could set the time to come in at 7:05, like Buffon. But, nah. I'll try and get there. Hey, I'm far from perfect, and I admit it. Oh, my God, I'm so far from perfect. Tommy misses. I'm missing you, too, as well, my friend. Welcome back to you, Anonymous. Yeah, you're hanging out with Mr. Dig a bit. Digging a new hole, huh? To hang out in. You never know where it's going to go. Would you look at that? Uh-oh. Captain Brian's coming in with a challenge. Gotta love it. A little bit of drama. Can I hear that? Would you look at that? Another super chat coming in from Captain Brian saying, I'll raise you, Decker. I guess that's a $5 super chat against the $10 super chat. We'll see where this goes. Not meaning to pull anybody into this, but hey, nothing like the Soul Train to get things going today. Holy cow. Who else do we have out there in the audience today as I scroll back down to see where the hell I left off? Oh, come on, get to the bottom. There we go. Almost at the bottom again. Censorship is being weaponized. Apparently so. I had no idea. John Dillinger, welcome, my friend. And another super chat coming in. Believe it or not, from Shelley Montgomery. Holy shit. Yes, another. That is a wild one. Yes. So cool. We need to have automatic shades. And would you look at that? She's back. She's amazing. She's beautiful. She is the one, the only. Well, if I'm going to do this right, where the hell did I put my glasses so I can read? Oh, I'll take these. Yeah, the more glasses I have, the more I will lose. If I can go ahead and find this cast sounds. Oh, here we go. Our resident angel. Oh, shit. I need to stop that one. Our resident angel has returned. Coming in, flapping those wings from a long, long way. Cast sounds. Let me see if this still works. Our resident angel is here. Believe it or not, Julie Farrell. Yes. When I was dealing with a horrible migraine this morning, Julie was there moderating a live stream from one of our viewers, and I'm one of his viewers, Dr. Simeon Hain. Great conversation. Oh my God. Thanks for coming back here tonight, Julie. Long time no see. Love you. Love you, girl. It's been a while. Amiga Rules is in the audience. And I believe I am going to close it out at 7:19 p.m. Pacific, a little bit early. But you know why? Because we made it whole all the way through it. Well, as you know, on the lessons, how do I say this? On the last episode of Disclosure Tonight, we talked about the Australian UFO files. Yes, it's an amazing 58-page document that goes and discloses all the information that the United States government has been working to go ahead and spread misinformation, disinformation, and everything else. Uh-oh. It's happened. It's happened again. I will find this one. Where is it at? Frequent. W. Decker has met Captain Brian's challenge. He said, I'll raise Decker. And W. Decker returns with a $20 super chat. Holy cow. And then Captain Brian said, I'll raise Decker $10. But no, you just matched. Oh my gosh. It is a challenge. Holy cow, to say the least. And, instead of Michael Jackson sitting there eating popcorn, I'm going to eat potato chips. Very unhealthy. It's like, once I started taking Savella, it ruined my ability to say no to chips. I had a lifelong ability to say no. His Cupcake is putting her head into a treat bag. All right. Nudges grillers. Yes, they look like little steaks. Little chewy, not as much, but she loves them. Well, not as much because she doesn't have them. She had 10 teeth pulled last year. Kind of looks like goof on smell, but hey, we'll get there. On that note, let's go ahead and have some fun with it. On that note, let's turn this music down. And before we get started, we're going to go say hey to some of our friends in the chat. Hopefully this shows up properly. Crap. Almost there. Yes, tonight we're talking. Let me see. Close that down. There we go. Yes, tonight we're talking about the Australian UFO files, and we've got 3 people in our back room right now, actually 2. One is an empty chair. Our first panelist tonight, or our first viewer call-in is West Decker, the man who found this amazing information. How the hell are you, West? Yeah. Oh, I know. Where's the kaboom? Where's the earth-shattering kaboom? Oh, we're waiting for the big thing, and, planes to fall out of the air, all the freaking, I looked at where it was going to hit, and it was going to hit mostly over the Pacific. Yeah, Hawaii and all the islands would get screwed. Eastern Australia would probably get screwed. More importantly, all those giant cargo ships going to and from China would be destroyed. That would not be a bad thing. Well, they wouldn't be destroyed. Just all the electronics on board would have been wiped out. But apparently, it fizzled out. But there should be a decent, Aurora Oval going for anyone in Russia, China, and Norway and Sweden. So Sven from Sweden should be able to see these. Oh, wait. Yeah, they can hear the people in the back. That's right. I may have accidentally tuned you guys down. Here you go. You're back. Wes Decker, how the hell are you?
I'm doing fine, and I won't force everybody to hear my joke a second time, even though they didn't even get to hear it the first time, but it was brilliant. Just imagine it.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those things I have to figure out. Actually, I'm going to go into this right now. I need to go into desktop audio, and I just need to go ahead and make one small modification in OBS composite audio.
I like what censorship is being weaponized into saying God didn't want us to hear it. I think that's probably exactly what it was.
Yeah. Well, you're not supposed to be. Let me just check one thing here. Properties. Save. OBS composite audio. I don't know why the other sound effects were coming across to your channel. Either way, we'll deal with it as the furnace is cranking. Let me crack my window. The studio is directly, the furnace is like 15 feet that way. And I've got the first tap off the furnace. Even when I go ahead and close off the furnace vents, it gets freaking scorching in here. something we don't want to deal with. All right, who else do we have in the back? We've got Andy, also known as Yellow Tommy Tanker. How the hell are you, Andy?
Yeah, hi, good evening, good morning, whatever, wherever you are. Yeah, hi, Thomas.
Excellent. Good to see you, my friend. Happy
I do
freaking...
apologize, I'm doing that purple hue again. I have no idea what it's doing.
If you go into the settings on, what do you call it? On Google Meet, there should be a setting in there to go ahead and automatically brighten the image. If you turn that off, it should make everything a bit darker.
I'll have a look in a minute.
I'll let you go ahead and find that. Yes.
One other quick idea, Andy. If you haven't rebooted your computer in a while, you may want to unplug your camera and reboot everything for next time.
You don't need to. You'll be fine. No, you don't need to. You'll be fine. Trust me, I deal with Google every single day at work. It's not that bad. And if you want to tell it to automatically center yourself, there should be an option in there to do that as well. Pretty cool tech. All for $10 a month.
Yep.
Can't go wrong.
I will say, I can tell you, you might not know what the temperature is in Birmingham, but in Bristol, United Kingdom, which isn't that far away, we're 30 degrees in your money.
Oh, wow.
So we're at -2 here in our money. So
yeah, it's 37 here. Not so bad. Air quality is 9, which is really good. You can tell it's been raining a lot here lately. I need to go to here and actually... Can you guys see me in the back or no?
No.
All right, hold on. Video. Oh, that's right. It's on that one. Go to here. All right, you should see me now. There we go.
Not yet.
Kabam, kaboom.
Nope.
Am I there?
There we are.
We got it now and everything. And that leads us to our third person who is in the back. Larry, quite contrary. How in the hell do you get your hair to grow?
It's like my garden. I like the garden. How does your garden grow?
Oh, you got to have some fun with it and have some fun with it to a degree. Yeah, that whole document that we covered on Saturday's show, unexpected to say the least. Holy cow. Let me get into my Disclosure Tonight docs and bring up the PDF that I created. Wrong one. Let me go ahead and bring this one up. It's the same document we have up within the show. Let me go ahead and get this around so it's all set up right so I can get it there. Last I remember, we left off on page 18 of the document, which basically brought us up to the chronology of U.S. investigations of UFOs. Let me go ahead and take these two bits here. Why are they not both being selected? Wait, hold on. Get this one of Larry there. Why isn't it? There we go. No, that one and that one. Group this together, and I will copy you guys across from here. I need dang it. Put that in there. There we go. I'm going to then take this group and copy it, and I am going to jump across to the desktop Zoom. Oh, it's perfect. You're already there. I'm already on top of you, Larry.
All right.
Get ready for the earth to rumble. All right. So we're picking up on an Australian UFO document that was put together in 2017, declassified not that long ago, probably within the last year, was out there very quiet. Apparently, Ross Coulthart has covered this or summarized it in 2 chapters of his book, Hidden in Plain Sight. I had no idea. But as if you want to call it, the crazy conversations were going forward on Twitter, holy cow, we took everybody by surprise with this one. Really great to see that there are so many people excited about it. Without any further delay, let's get into... Oh, let me fix one more screen thing so I can see what's going on here. Window projector preview. Put it over here. Bring it up. Look over my glasses so I look like I'm old. Perfect. All right, where the hell am I? That goes there, that goes there. So, what we're going to start off with today is a chronology of U.S. investigations into the UFO phenomena. If you look at this, we're starting, and all the dates are going to be European styled, meaning it's going to be the day, month, year. So let's get going on this, shall we? So we're dealing with 6/24/47. Arnold's sighting of 9 saucers creates public interest. Also, investigations initiated by the Air Technical Intelligence Center, also known as ATIC, of Air Material Command from the Army Air Forces at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base near Dayton, Ohio. Initially, Soviet advanced aircraft were selected. I had no idea it started then. We're now going up to July 26th, 1947. National Security Act creates both USAF and CIA. You know what's missing between these two dates, guys? Roswell. That happened right around... Didn't that happen in July?
July the 7th, if I remember right.
Absolutely. Let me turn this on. So we're looking at, come on, baby. You can do, there we go. 7/26/47. Now we're going to go up to 9/23/47. So we're now looking at Lieutenant General Twinning of the Army Material Command requesting the commander of Army Air Forces to issue authority, priority, and code name for the investigation of flying discs. Gee, I wonder why they would start an investigation on September 23, 1947 into flying discs. Preliminary conclusions by AMC were that the phenomenon were, quote, real, not visionary or fictitious. That is a good one right there. That made the objects were mostly disc-shaped, about the size of a man-made aircraft, and were intelligently controlled. Any U.S. attempt to design aircraft of similar performance would be costly, time-consuming, and detrimental to other projects. Investigations by the Army Material Command would continue pending further advice. Putting up the date to December 30th, 1947. Let's select that. Let's highlight it. There we go. Authority, come on, you can get there. Authority given to Army Material Command to investigate the phenomena on a priority A2 basis under the code name Project Sign. Minimum classification was restricted. Reports were to be made quarterly and data exchanged with interested parties. So they've already started to take it, recognize it, understand the importance of it, and make sure data sharing is going on. If we now go to January 15th, 1948, the USAF officially a separate service. So we've gone from initially introducing that we want to have for the USAF, and now on January 15th, 1948, they are a separate service. We now go to January 22nd, 1948. Lots of stuff happening. Project Sign starts officially. Fast forwarded to July 24th, 1948. A near collision between a DC-3 and UFO prompt ATIC to write an estimate of the situation. That's new.
Weather balloons.
Weather balloons. Swamp gas, remember? Now we're going to September of 1948. Kaboom. Wait, where'd it go? There we go. The top secret estimate was forwarded to the Pentagon. The conclusion was that UFOs were interplanetary in origin, was not acceptable to the Air Force Chief of Staff, who was General Vandenberg at that time, who insisted on demonstrable proof, not circumstantial evidence. Attic was unable to provide UFO hardware or detailed photographs. Well, go figure. If they didn't have the technology at the time to get there. It sounds like the same kind of bullshit we're hearing today, doesn't it, guys?
It does.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a record being repeated again. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting to say the least. Let's now move forward to December 13th. Come on, you can do it. Come on, let me select it all. Come on, you can get there. Close enough. Dr. Oh, turn that off. Come on. Dr. J.E. Lip of the RAND Corporation replied to the Director of Research and Development, USAF. Get this a little bit bigger. There we go. That if flying saucers or flying objects were interplanetary, they would most likely originate from Mars. Here they're thinking they're coming from another planet in our solar system. Why? Because they don't have a clue, do they? I think we know better today where they're from, but
Yeah, at that time they just couldn't imagine covering the distances involved, so it had to be somewhere within the solar system
or dimensional or anything. Although intelligent life, as we know it, would be more occupied with the survival than we are at Earth, our present technology cannot conceive as to how an interstellar race could reach Earth, even though it is conceded that there is a high probability that intelligent life does exist within, say, 16 light years from Earth.
that could have been written today.
I wonder what is within 16 light years of Earth.
I was
We're
about
gonna-
to ask you that too. That's an oddly specific range.
It was probably at that. I'm sensing that in this point in history, we had these people who were very proud of being able to compute probabilities. Right? We heard that in the last episode, and like the probability is millions to one or whatever. So I think that these are mathematicians who just came up with some kind of formula.
Yep. Absolutely. As I hold Cupcake in my lap, I just saw a news briefing from a news interview with Tim Burchett. You know what he's holding on his lap? His dog.
Yeah.
Right, Cupcake, you're not alone. There are many dogs of people who are in live streams besides you, girl. Absolutely.
Thomas, sorry, can I just chip in? I've just had a look on my phone, and I think 16 light years from Earth is Gliese 832c.
Note that for later. We're going to have to dig into that one.
Yeah.
Very interesting to say the least. So where was I? Okay, Mars. All right, our present technology cannot achieve how a non-interstellar race could reach Earth, even though it was conceded that there is a high probability that intelligent life does exist. We're back to that part again, 16 light years from Earth. We move on to January of 1949. The USAF orders Project Sign to become Project Grudge, which should terminate before the end of 1949. If I remember properly, they didn't like the answers of what Project Sign came with, so they fired everybody, came up with Project Grudge to find the answers that the leadership in Washington, D.C. wanted to have. That's the best way to get the answer you want. Go ahead and just fire everybody and say, find this answer for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That seems to be what's going on.
Weaponized. Just added some information. I'm not exactly sure where it's coming from, but it looks well footnoted that the 16 light years, I suppose that system that you were just mentioning, Andy, has 2 planets in the habitable zone. So maybe that's what this is about.
Interesting to say the least. We're going to have
Hey,
to...
can I ask you all a question? Do any of you all know the origin of the name for Project Grudge?
You're reading
Why
my
did they call it?
You're reading my mind. I had that same question. What does sign mean? What does grudge mean? Are they randomly chosen, or do they generally have some sort of meaning?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, it probably means something. It's probably an abbreviation for something. You know how the government likes to come up with a bunch of words and abbreviate them down?
Yeah, true.
We will find out, I guarantee. So, look at that. February of 1949, the final report of Project Sign, which was TR-2274-IA of the Technical Intelligence Division of the Army Material Corps, recommended that only a minimum effort be devoted to recording, analyzing, and evaluating reports. But on the other hand, there were factual evidence, such as photograph, radar, physical evidence, and data on the size and shape of ships involved. Wait a minute. Right there. Physical evidence. It's right down there. Physical evidence, folks. That means they have material from a crash, right? What else in the hell would physical evidence be other than it's
Yeah, if it's not a photograph, if it's not radar, then physical evidence means a craft.
Yeah.
Well, physical evidence that would represent the size and shape of the craft could have been a alien form of a car cover for their spaceship that got left behind. I'm just saying.
Car cover?
Sorry. It's been a long day. I was expecting the sun to blow us up.
I know what you mean. It's like, happened. They blew the chunk off of their frickin' muffler, and they got a chunk of the muffler. No, they've got a chunk of a ship that probably crashed. But either way, there you go. Physical evidence. Let's move on.
My word, there will be a classified report that says they found an alien ship cover, and that's going to be it.
So we're going back turning back the clocks of time to February of 1949.
And before West interrupted with that stupid comment.
No, that's a good one. February 1949. We already had physical evidence. It's right there. It's right down there. Let me give me a second here to open up my hands. I feel like I'm cramped in here. I'm verklempt. There we go. There, come on. Move myself over this way a little bit. Why is there a basket of dog treats underneath my desk? Oh, yeah, that's why. Let's move on. So now let's move forward to February 11th, 1949. The Project Sign officially becomes Project Grudge. According to Ruppelt, Sign personnel either volunteered to leave or were compelled to leave.
Oh.
The power of lies compel you. The power of lies compels you. After which they were replaced by personnel willing to ridicule the concept of UFOs during 1949. Grudge personnel did not follow up reports. Gee, go figure. So they brought in people who, God, it sounds like they brought in a bunch of Mick Wests. They wanted to bring in everybody who was against it versus having a open perspective. For some reason, considering our government's lies on an ongoing basis, that does not surprise me. Let's move on. Moving up to August 1949. Secret Technical Report 102. AC 49/15 through 100, unidentified flying objects, Project Grudge, of about 600 pages issued, with the conclusion that all the reports were the result of misidentifications, mass hysteria, and hoaxes, even though they admit 23% of the reports as being unknown. The report was declassified on August 1st, 1952. Gee, I wonder why. That's right after all the sightings that took place in Washington, D.C., isn't it? They happened in July 1952. So this was part of that misinformation and disinformation campaign. Sounds like headed up by the CIA, for that matter, spreading their love and joy of lies to the American people. Here you go, folks. You're interested in this? It's not real. Please move along. Moving up to December 27th, 1949, the Department of Defense News released a statement that the Air Force's Flying Saucer project has been terminated. Really? They terminated it so soon? I have to wonder why. Where in the hell is that? Yeah, I know. We're now moving to March 1950. Publication of a report previously cleared by the U.S. Army describing the tracking of a UFO by an official team led by Commander McLaughlin at the White Sands Missile Proving Ground. From the tracking data, it was concluded that the UFO required an extraterrestrial origin. So there we go, going all the way back to March 1950. We've got the military coming forward and saying, hey, I don't care what the heck you're saying. This thing that we have here on film has to be extraterrestrial. It cannot be one of our crafts. I wonder if it's one of those videos we saw recently where I think it was at White Sands, where there were some UFOs that were caught on film. I remember that one. So let's move on.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about that. I think, is that the one that they actually filmed it landing?
No, this is a different one where the bomb is going off and there's things going around in the image and eventually goes shooting up in the air.
Oh, I don't know if I know that one then.
I'll bring that one up again. On learning that Attic was not investigating UFO reports, the USAF Director of Intelligence, who was General Campbell, ordered Project Grudge to be revitalized. This was acted upon at once. So, wait a minute. You're not doing anything. Let's bring back the people who disprove everything. This time, Project Grudge was now headed by Captain Rupplet. Let's move on to March 1952. Project Grudge and renamed Project Blue Book. Oh, that's going to do wonders for it. So let's take a program that was put in place to disprove everything, give it a new name like Project Blue Book, and put it out for public inspection. Interesting to say the least. By this stage, the staff had been built up to all of 10 people, all with top secret clearances and a highly qualified research group of consultants provided expertise. As part of Project Stork, this research group is a possibility, started to transcribe data into IBM cards for further analysis. Yes, they were going back in time to old punch card machines to help analyze the data. They needed those things, to say the least. Let's move up to...
This is some of the stuff that Jacques Vallée was involved with?
What, punch cards?
Well, since he was, I thought one of the things that he was brought on to do with, maybe that was later with Dr. Hynek, was to create that database of all the sightings.
That was based on the stuff that OSAP was doing.
Oh, no. But he started doing it as far back as he worked with Hynek personally. He mentions it a lot.
Yeah. Well, you've got me on that one, I tell you. Potentially.
But I don't think, now that I think about it, that would have been afterwards, because this is still under a different person right now, under Captain Ruppelt.
Yes, if we now move on to April 29th, 1952, Air Force Letter 200-5 ordered all USAF units to wire UFO reports directly to Attic with a copy to the Pentagon. But wasn't Attic shut down? How are they going to be reporting this stuff to Attic if Attic was shut down? Project Blue Book was permitted to contact any USAF unit directly, allowing for rapid investigation. Moving up to June through August 1952. During 1948 to 1951, the average monthly number of reports was 15. But during June, July, and August of 1952, the average was 337, including 536 during July. Give me a second here. I need to find a different page here. This is bothering me how it's not playing along. Second here. It's got to be here somewhere. Oh God, we are in June.
Oh, we got a quick update here from Susan Goes Time Traveling Pangolins.
Yes.
She writes that Grudge was intentionally directed to come to a non-ET conclusion, and that name was meant to convey this new direction. Thank you, Susan.
Absolutely. Let's move this over a little bit. Different way to go ahead and see things for the time being. And I think this should allow me to go ahead and select stuff a little bit better. All right, let's see if this works. I'm going back to the high resolution image grabs I did versus PDF. So on
hey, Tom King, you're in the chat. Come on and join us on the.
So now we're looking at
audio chat.
July 19th through 26, 1952. 2 series of radar visual sightings over Washington National Airport. The Capitol and the White House electrified the nation. As a result of the upsurge of interest in scientific and military circles, the interplanetary hypothesis gained ground despite official reports to try and explain away the sightings. Does not surprise me a bit. There we go. Let me move this over now so it's a little bit more behaved. And zoom in. All right, let's move on. So now we're up to August 21st, 1952. The USAF started releasing Attic reports to the UFO author Major Kehoe for publication. This was a completely unexpected change of policy. The contents of these reports refuted the public pronouncements made by the USAF. In addition, a USAF spokesperson agreed that the attempt to explain the Washington sightings due to anomalous propagation could not be upheld. So now we've got people who are coming forward trying to go ahead and share and spread the truth about this, but the reality of it is the reports stand on their own. Yes, I love hearing about these experiences as well. Who just said that? Jennifer, it's just great to see where in the heck we're at. Yeah, we're kind of out of loop. We're all out of the loop. Jennifer Rancho is saying, Thomas Fessler and crew, I've only been watching for a few months. Is there a specific episode that talks about my experiences? There might be. I don't know which ones. I do it every so often. Let's move along to November 21, 1952. The CIA, our best friends, arranged 4 government scientists to meet at Attic for 3 days as a preliminary review panel to decide on the recommendations for a higher level of panel of 6 scientists. Fast forwarding to January 14th and 17th, 1953. The official Scientific Intelligence, the Office of Scientific Intelligence, OSI, CIA, convened in Washington, D.C., a panel of 6 scientists, including Doctors H.P. Robertson, who was a chairman, Louis Alvarez, Lloyd Bernker, Samuel A. Godsmith, Thornton Page, and one other. For some reason, we don't have his name. after 3 days of evidence, a 2-page secret report that was prepared on the 4th day concluded that there was no direct threat to national security, but that there was an indirect threat to the ordinarily functioning of protective organs of the body politic.
What the hell does that mean?
If people find out about the aliens, our democracy is at risk.
Oh,
Yeah.
Or maybe even more specifically, our economy and therefore their funding might be at risk. So they don't want to mess up their money train.
yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. It was recommended that national security agencies would, quote, strip the UFOs of the special status they had been given and educate the public accordingly. Well, you know what? That didn't happen, did it, guys? If they did educate the public, when they were educating the public, they were educating the public on how everything that was being brought forward was a frickin' lie. It was not real. It was not the truth. And they're going to do whatever they possibly could to hide it away from the public's eyes. Let's move on. Oh, we're in February 16th, 1953. The CIA issued a larger but still secret report on the meeting, summarizing that 8 half-day sessions and outlining panel members' individual viewpoints. The lack of artifacts of clear extraterrestrial origin was a strong argument against acceptance of the extraterrestrial hypothesis. The panel agreed with CIA concern that enemy artifacts may be misidentified by U.S. defense personnel, that emergency reporting channels to be overloaded, and that the public may become vulnerable to enemy psychological warfare. So let's just go ahead and put the psychological warfare against the people. Alex has joined us in the back. Let's take the psychological warfare and put it against the people of the American Republic. And that's exactly what they did. Now let's move on. The public should be educated to recognize balloons, meteors, and swamp gas. I added that one in. And a policy of debunking or McWesting should be introduced in order to reduce public interest. This training and debunking program, brainwashing and debunking program is more like it, would be required for a minimum of 1.5 to 2 years for it to be effective. Some explanation of the ATTIC effort would certainly be required to support such a program. A professional staff of 12, supported by an administrative staff, was suggested. So here we go. The CIA is coming out and saying, this is what we need to push forward our misinformation and disinformation and debunking campaign. Are you surprised? I'm not.
I'd just like to point out, Thomas, to the audience, in case they don't remember, this is an official Australian document that is currently published on the Australian government's website. This is not bullshit.
Yeah. Absolutely. If there are people in the chat saying that you've just nailed this down. This is coming from a foreign government's, one of our partners in the Five Eyes at this point, who basically was doing their counterintelligence against the United States of America. So their government had an idea of what was going on and where this is sitting at. Great observation, Larry. I appreciate that. But that's what calls it out. That's where this document goes, granted, we've heard a lot of this stuff, and a lot of it is coming in speculation. A lot of it is coming from different ufologists who are looking at stuff, some of which have looked at this document and summarized it. But we're going through it word by word so you can understand the urgency, the high level of legitimacy that this document holds that many don't have. Am I right?
Right.
Yeah, and I think in addition to that, people, if you haven't been in on this whole conversation since the last time we talked about it, this is a 58-page document. This is got 58 pages of dense material, as you can see, that's just outlining point after point after point about what the American government has been up to on this and what is actually going on in such great detail that I feel like it sort of does it a little disservice because we get numb to it after a little while, just because it's just so, I don't know, it's like watching the mass shooting of the week on the news every night. You just stop noticing how dramatic this is, but each one of these paragraphs is a huge revelation. And again, this isn't just like somebody's opinion. This is an intelligence assessment for the Royal Australian Air Force, and they probably spent a long time on this report, a hell of a lot longer on the reports we've been getting out of our UFO committees here in the U.S. at least.
Yeah. And this is much more info than we've ever gotten in any official document from our United States government, because this is all the legacy stuff that's probably going to come and be a part of the historical report on misinformation and disinformation and reverse engineering. But we're not going to see this from our United States government until June 25th, give or take, 2024. Why is it we can get all this information from the Australian government today, but to get this from the American government, one page of it, which they're still not going to give us everything, that we're going to have to go ahead and wait that long for any accurate information? It's a crime.
You know what, everybody, if you feel like doing something, take time tomorrow, because you need to do this anyway, to write to your Congress people if you live in the US and send them a link to this so that they have in front of them this report to which they could then show up to these committee hearings and put it in front of the Aero group and say, guys, you might want to just plagiarize this. It would help you get your report in on time next time, and show the world that, and show our Congress people that this information is out there and has done what, 50 years ago. And there's no excuse for why our government can't produce the same information with much greater detail and with the kind of transparency that we all deserve.
Well said.
And thanks. Sorry, I'll get off my soapbox.
Oh, that's good. As you run, I found a cuppy present on one of the spot rugs. Luckily, I put it in the magic place to catch the magic key. I use my psychic abilities to predetermine where Cupcake is going to piss on the carpet to try and catch it before it happens. She's old. I bought a carpet machine just for that purpose. Let's move on, shall we? We're now moving up to, must be the same in 1953, 2/16/1953. Let's move on. Section 3 of Title 18 of the Joint Army, Navy, and Air Force publication, JNAP 146, legislated that service personnel talking about UFO sightings were liable to from 1 to 10 years, GAOL, and or a fine up to $10,000. So this is why our servicemen are so reluctant to come out and talk about this. This is still a law today, but wait, later on they're going to go ahead and make it even more restrictive and more damaging to our service individuals who have seen this, who want to bring out the truth. It's a freaking crime. They need to repeal that.
If you've ever asked yourself, where did all these people go, and why didn't they at least try when they were on their deathbed to make some kind of a proclamation about the truth?
Right.
I think what it is that they were, if they did so, they felt they were endangering their own families.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's just a really shitty situation where we're at, and I just want to go ahead and it's been up there for a bit, and thank, what do we got there? Susan Goes, Time Traveling Pangolins. Sombering info. Yeah, you know, I wouldn't call this sombering yet. Would you think this, you know what? Would you think this is somber so far? Or do you think this is more eye-opening, Larry?
Well, I think it's eye-opening.
Yeah. How about you, West?
But I think what Susan might be referring to is the egregious lies. It just to think that government could lie this badly to its people and keep it up decades is certainly sombering.
Start a poll.
I might be wrong, Susan, but that's my take on your.
This info is sombering, eye-opening. I need one more descriptive. Sombering, eye-opening. How else would you explain this in a different vein, in a different word, Larry?
Revelatory. Revelatory.
Much better than what I was coming up with, which was constipating.
Revelatory. Hopefully I spelled it right. Something else. All right. The AU UFO report is... All right. I'm going to go ahead and do what we like to do sometimes. Let's see where our audience takes us. Let's see where our viewers view this situation. We've got a couple different options. Let's go ahead and get this up and start the survey, get the sound effect up and playing so we all can deal with it. All right, let's go ahead and bring this up right now. And the question is, so you guys can see I'm not blocking my fat head. The Australian UFO report is, what is the audience going to say? Let's find out. Is it eye-opening? Is it sombering? Is it eye-opening? Is it revelatory? Or is it something else? Let's see where our audience takes us right now. Revelatory meaning it's very revealing. It's giving us something there. Currently, we've got 22 votes in. Hey, Google, set the timer for 1 minute. 1 minute, and that's starting now. It's so much easier than click, 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 make it happen in a different app and struggling with it. Having to find the stopwatch and realize where it's at. Just tell it to do it, yeah. You know, if you have an older parent and you're trying to keep in communication, get yourself and them an Amazon Alexa. This is not an ad or anything. If you set it up right, you can say, hey Alexa, drop into Mom's. And it would literally go ahead and said, open a connection to my mom's house, who is in the Midwest, in the Illinois suburbs, western suburbs. And it would go blink, and I would be there in her place, unannounced. She doesn't have to answer the phone, but it just opens up the connection, and I can listen in. I could say things if she's not responding and other things. It's just a phenomenal tool for staying in touch with your loved ones and being able to, you know, it feels like you're walking up to your mom's house, you're opening the door, and you're walking into the house, but in a digital sense. On that note, that is the end of our timer. That's enough of my spiel about that. Where are we at? Only 43 votes in, 2 minutes out. I'm going to go ahead and end this. Let me take a picture of it first. Oh, there we go. I've got that. Great. Got myself looking down, looking at the report. Let me go ahead and end this now. Where in the hell is the button? Where's the button? Oh, there it is. End poll. Bingo. Let's turn off the sound effect. Let's see where our audience picked up at the end. Oh, gosh. Let's just go to this here. Go to that. Crop it. Let's blow it up. Oh, look, I got her. Let's turn that off over here. Sorry about that. Okay, so where did we wind up? One more time. No, don't. Oh, fuck. I am such. Okay. That goes there. Now, where the hell was I? Where did we end up with only 43 votes coming in? 12% said sombering. 5% said eye-opening. 44%, the largest group in the audience said it was revelatory. 40% says it's something else. Do us a favor. Tell us in the chat, what do you mean by something else? I'd like to know. Who else? Would you look at that? We got another super chat that came in from Ant-Man. Thank you, Ant-Man. Appreciate that. Giving us a fist bump. All right, fist bump back at you, buddy. That's cool. Yeah. Love the animations on those things. It just adds in another level of fun into the show. Absolutely. On that note, yeah, great question, Larry. Absolutely. Looking at the document and just trying to understand what we're looking at, and revelatory, it resounded with the audience. Are you surprised? Uh-oh. We lost your...
Oh, I'm sorry.
There you are. Okay.
I was trying to pick a word that was big enough to meet the occasion.
Yeah.
Like the book of Revelation.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
In other words, it's really significant.
Very.
Yeah. And it's significant, and it's revealing. Oh, it's not conformatory. I guess it could be conformatory, but yeah, it'll clean up a lot of things, potentially. All right, let's go ahead and take that down, figure out where I was back in the conversation. Let's take down that super chat. Thank you again, Ant-Man. Absolutely. Let me clear that off so we can get back to the conversation. Before I get going on this again, Alex popped into the conversation a little bit ago. Alex, any quick thoughts on this before we continue on?
No, I never really looked too much at the foreign stuff, just a little bit, but I know Australia does have like a program, and they do have like, in quote, their own Area 51 area. I forgot what exactly it's named. It's called Pine something or other out there. So they have their own thing, and people have claimed they've seen objects flying in the sky over that location too. So
yeah.
I actually had a friend stationed out there a long time ago too.
Right. Cool.
But
yeah, we can get on to that
Australia stuff.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, it's an amazing document. I'm seeing stuff so far. Let's go ahead and get going back on the rest of this document. Where was I? Oh yeah, we're now jumping. The last thing we talked about, it's the first law, Section 3, Title 18 of the Joint Army, Navy, Air Force publication, JNAP 146. Remember, $10,000 fine against any person in the service for coming out and saying anything about this. Next, move on to August 26, 53. As we get into here, it's going to, let's see, Air Force Regulation AFR 200-2 removes investigation authority from Project Blue Book in favor of the Air Defense Command's 4602 Air Intelligence Service Squadron, a unit dispersed over area commands and trained both for rapid access and to remote areas to interrogate enemy personnel. The Air Force required immediate reporting to evaluate that threat and detailed reporting to assist technical analysis. All written reports are to be sent to USAF intelligence in Washington. Mainland reports first going to Air Defense Command for distribution to interested investigative agencies. So they're controlling who they want to send it to. Electrical reports are addressed to both the headquarters and attic. The public is to be informed of the result of individual cases only when the object is positively identified as a familiar object. So right there, they're saying that everything they investigate, the only thing they ever get back to the people on is the ones where they know it's fake. That sounds real. Oh man, welcome to the United States government. To the reality of the lies are all around. All right.
Hurts my brain. It hurts my brain. I have to be more like you, Thomas. You can kind of take it in stride, but I just get my blood boils when I read this shit.
Yeah, that's and honestly, first time I'm reading as well. I'm trying to read into it like the script because you're reading ahead from what you're actually saying. But yeah, it's some amazing words you just have to look at this, and it's like all of that speculation that a lot of people have brought forth. This kind of touches into this, but this gives us a much better picture at what's really been going on in our government. A pretty clear picture, if you ask me.
Yeah.
All right. So in September of 53, when the head of Project Blue Book departed, the staff was reduced to 1 airman first class. All instrumentation plans had been negated for diffraction cameras, which had been shown to be useless. So they got rid of all of their plans for any imaging systems, except for ones which had been shown to be useless. We're going to give you stuff that there's no way, and we know that it won't capture anything, but we're going to give it to you, and this is what you have to use, and this is the only thing we're going to accept data in on.
Somebody got punked bad, huh?
You know, the American people got punked.
Yeah. But this guy in particular, he's like the last guy.
You know, you're getting angry at it. I'm just shaking my head saying, God, how stupid. You know, you look at it and you can just see how blatantly obvious. It's that we don't know because, how do you put it? We can't and didn't have the ability to go ahead and capture images on it and research into it. We forced you into a tool set that there's no way you're going to be able to succeed, basically killing any effort on this particular level to make official record of it. So what was going on secret behind the scenes of them saying, no, we already know about this, don't let them know anything, shut that down, make them fail. So, you know, at this point you have to think, okay, this is what's happening on the surface. But if anybody could tell a frickin', what did my dad say, an ass from a hole in the ground? You should be able to, figure out and see there's other things going on here that are the unreported parts, that are the, if you want to call it, that next level of dirt and information that we should be getting and being able to look back into. So we should be able to hear all of this stuff. But then if there were other things going on beneath it, they should be able to hear about that as well.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is a cover-up.
Yeah. Why would you go ahead and take the investigators and everything and make sure that you gave them equipment that you already knew would fail? That's not coincidence. That's strategic.
It's strategic and devious.
This actually does happen a lot, even in every other military setting where military do leak things they're not supposed to or get equipment that's not supposed to work, whether it's in classified operations or whatever. I know from experience, government doesn't really work, and sometimes the military is a little dysfunctional. So it could have been another deal of the military just doesn't function like it should and just some screw up again, or they could be doing that on purpose. Who knows? But my guess is probably 50-50.
Yep, absolutely. It's LM popping in.
Hey,
Mr. LM, how you doing?
Doing good, Thomas. I wanted to just kind of throw this out to the audience. The reason why they hit a stone wall here is actually for several reasons, because they didn't want to investigate further. But this was the beginning of the von Whipple, Todos Odorenko setting up the LIR, which was, I believe, Laboratory for Insulation Research. And this is the beginning of fiber optics and the beginning stages of LED research.
Oh, cool.
So, of course, those cameras and stuff weren't important anymore because they already
knew.
Yeah.
And they basically took an official thing, go ahead and make sure it's not real, but give them equipment that we already know there's no way this stuff will work for what they're trying to do. So they'll never be able to come up with anything. They'll just basically go ahead and have to write everything off because they can't get any proof with the technology they have, and it shuts down and goes out of the public circuit.
Right. And allegedly, one of the first technological advancements they were able to figure out was fiber optics off of crash retrieval.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, I would just like to mention that gravity on television, you would see in the 50s predictions about, how we're going to have control of gravity within just a couple of years. And then that just completely died when all of this started up because it went underground.
Yeah.
Well, and to Larry's point, that was a noticeable absence because there were conferences going on that were public at the time, and gravity research, as we saw in the document you were reading from, or the earlier part of the document you're reading from the other day, it was well funded by the government. They were pushing science ahead of itself to get this gravity research done, and then, just like Larry said, then it all just hushed up.
Yeah. This is just a monumental document that should go down in history of being something that's been out there. I guess it's been known for a bit, but no one's really paid attention to it. I know Ross Coulthart covered on it, but no one found the link to it until recently, right, West?
Yeah, it seems so. And I feel like, once again, this is on all of us to spread the word about this document, and especially if you can, send it to people in Congress and stuff so that we can shame our government into producing something of equal quality and equal transparency, because we deserve it. And this information is part of their mandate. So they need to, I think it would be great if in another hearing, the same way the Wilson document got read into the congressional record, somebody could get this read into the congressional record as well, so that there would be no escape for Arrow, that they would have to address everything that's in this report, as well as whatever else they find.
I mean, this reads better than a frickin' fiction book because it's a government document, but the story that goes on in it, absolutely. LM, you had your hand up.
Yeah, and it's also just mind blowing. I don't remember exactly what year it was, but I want to say that fiber optic cables hit the commercial industry about like late 90s.
Yeah.
And they're already working on fiber optics in 1953. So again, like, we all know that the military has tech that they use for their own purposes for, 10, 20, 30 years. But when they're pulling it from UFOs and then kicking it to the commercial public, and still at that point in time haven't informed the public where they're getting this technology from, it's pretty crazy.
I know. Absolutely. Quick thing to Blake McCurry. Just one little thing here. Yes, in favor of our office, the Charo office. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I was like, my God, he just killed my ears. And it's like, well, yeah, have fun. I woke you up. Where in the hell was I? Let's get back to this document and move along on this. I'm just, open your eyes to what's going on. So let's move on. So the distribution of moving on after they said they're going to give them cameras that they know are going to fail. The distribution of 275 diffraction granting cameras, 200 U.S. bases and 75 overseas bases was completed. It would be interesting to find out who manufactured those cameras and why. What kind of political deal was in place for that one, or something. Airline pilots went to a meeting at the Roosevelt Hotel, Hollywood, were coerced by military intelligence using JNAP 146 to agree to not informing the public of their sightings and confine the reporting to official channels. On. Airline pilots at a meeting at the Roosevelt Hotel, Hollywood, were coerced by military intelligence using JNAP 146 to agree to not informing the public of their sightings and confine their reporting to official channels. What the fuck is that? That's total censorship. No wonder why pilots haven't been historically talking about it. It's due to pressure from the frickin' intelligence services of the federal government of the United States of America.
Hey, Thomas, do you know what JANAP stands for?
Here. Oh, give me a second.
Because
Select
it
that.
sounds very similar to the airline that was
Yeah.
taking people to Area 51.
JANAP 146. All right, JANAP 146. The purpose of this publication is to provide uniform instructions to reporting of vital intelligence
I think I added a
sightings.
link for that on Saturday, Thomas. Janet 146.
Yeah, the purpose of this publication is to provide uniform instructions for sightings and to provide communication instructions for passing of these intelligence reports to appropriate military authorities. The publication is limited to the reporting of information of vital importance to the security of the United States of America and Canada and their air forces, and the opinion of the observer require prompt offensive or investigative action by the U.S. and or Canadian armed forces.
I'm going to say joint air something. I
Yeah.
don't know.
United States and Canada. To the
It
security
is
of
the
United States and
joint-
Canada.
It's Joint Army Navy Air Force publication.
Ah,
So they use this to coerce pilots not to talk about it.
yeah.
Anything. Boats, vessels, including fishing vessels. It's over aircraft and boats. CIRVIS as the first word of the text. Reports made by waterborne. Yeah, water. They want unidentified flying objects. There we go. That's why we haven't potentially heard thing from the boats. That's why potentially that we haven't heard anything from the pilots. They're prevented from talking about it. Or they were. This is back in 53, but doesn't it sound familiar to the problem we've had with pilots going on for many, many years?
It's similar.
And a lot of it is because airlines had policies that prevented them from talking about it. Those policies sound familiar to what was being done here.
Sending people to the psychiatrist because they
Yeah.
saw some guy. Oh,
And then
man.
you're grounded, you won't be able to fly anymore. That was a fun rabbit hole. That's a good one for another day. Good question. Hey, cool thing, I'll say it again. Not that I'm trying to brag or anything. No, it's just a cool feature. This picture isn't a PDF. It's a screen capture that I have. But on the Mac, you can actually select text out of a picture and copy it and paste it and use it wherever you want. Makes things so much easier. All right, let's move on in this document. All right, so is the audience saying that I forget about something? No.
Real quick, do you remember when you were talking shortly ago about if military personnel, if they mention anything about this, that they're going to be penalized $10,000?
Yeah, that's the same number I heard from my ex-brother-in-law.
Yeah, but here's the thing. That was on the JNAT document, which is referring to what you are looking at right now. So it
Right.
had that penalty in it for military, and I guess they made a point that it applies to civilian commercial airline pilots as well. Same penalties.
Apparently so.
I just thought I'd add that.
So we've always wondered why have we heard our pilots talking about it. It's more than just the airlines.
Yeah, they're being threatened with jail. Well,
It's our federal government actively working to suppress and hide the information from everybody. This should be the biggest eye-opening thing to the American people, just to show them how the American government works with this, to give them some ideas of how they deal with a lot of things, whether we like it or not.
Well, now that you're discussing this report, it sheds more light onto why Ross Coulthart has been complaining since his book came out. Why isn't mainstream media paying attention to any of this? Now I know what he was talking about.
Well, yeah. This is like the killer document. My God.
But this was in, what, two chapters of his book?
Yeah, only 2 chapters, and this is a 58-page document. So, I like going through the individual stuff because every little piece, as we're getting into this, has a lot of weight. And on that, let me move on, otherwise we'll never get this thing done.
Go ahead.
On February 7th, 1954, airline pilots, we just mentioned about that. We fell down the Jane App hole of why they were telling pilots to shut up on this subject. On 5/15/54, USAF Chief of Staff, General Nathan Twining, stated, quote, "The best brains of the Air Force are working on this problem of identified flying objects, trying to solve this riddle." General Twining was not referring to Project Blue Book. So here we've got somewhat of an admission. Oops, did I say that? You did. Move on to June 10th, 54, Deputy Commander of Intelligence at ATIC, Colonel Amara, stated that more than 1,000 people were working on the problem. So in May of 54, there's an admission. Now in June, they've got 1,000 people working on the problem. William P. Lear, chairman of Lear Inc., Learjets, Santa Monica, stated that because of flying saucers, serious efforts were being made in the U.S. to prove the existence of anti-gravitational forces. This was on February 2nd, 1955. CEO of Lear.
And this is John Lear's dad, by the way.
Yeah.
So it's no wonder John Lear was so interested in UFO topic.
Is he still? Yeah. All right. Let's move on. You just look at some of these things and you just stop and you think about it for a second. And it's just like, again, every one of these is just, let's move on. 8. Leaves you at a loss for words. That's a good way to put it. 8/23/55. August 23rd, revealed that the U.S. government had taken over the Canadian Avro flying saucer project. This was a circular airfoil powered by jets designed to take off and land vertically and hover at 1,500 feet and change direction rapidly. What are they trying to build? It sounds like a UFO based on what we know now. The design specification, performance, and shape were clearly directly related to UFO reporting. The project was started in 51 and through 52, and in 54, after $400,000 had been spent, the Canadian government withdrew its financial backing. Well, it wasn't working as they thought. Well, it sounded like they were trying to go ahead and, exactly what we have for what they're describing as the movement of a Tic Tac, but they're trying to do it with conventional propulsion. When the U.S. assumed control over the project and imposed a high level of security, preventing every Canadian official from inspecting on the premise. At the press release meeting on 25 October 1955, for the Special Report 14, photographs of a drawing of the proposed version showed a typical flying disc. Fast forward to a couple months to October 25th, 55. Oh, and we're at the bottom of that page. The release of the Project Blue Book Special Report 14, dated May 5th, 1955. The report was originally compiled as Project Blue Book research consultants who analyzed 3,200 reports out of 4,000 received by the end of 52. These results were used to brief the Robertson panel in January 1953. Welcome again to Aro. And what is that? It's not Equinox Labs. I know it starts with an E.
Enigma.
Enigma. Thank you very much. Enigma Labs. They want the public reports to go ahead and analyze and see what's being said and rank it, and et cetera, et cetera. To this basic 316 page report, a 3-page so-called summary has been added, dealing mainly with the 1953 to 1955 period and dismissing UFOs as mainly misidentifications. The more uncomfortable conclusions of the report were concealed. Only 100 copies of the main report were distributed to a restricted non-public basis. The only Australian copy was destroyed by the RAAF in 1959, whereas copies of the misleading summary were frequently available to the press and public. So there was a report on Blue Book that talked about everything, but no copies no longer exist.
What do you think? Uncomfortable. The more uncomfortable conclusions. What do you think they meant by that?
Yeah, that uncomfortable would be in the same situation that we're in today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Non-human intelligence.
Yeah, bingo. Go on to the next page here. Bring this one up. That's where we at. So, we're at April 9th, 1958. The first sanitized version of the Robertson short report was released. Going up to December 24th, 59, the Inspector General of the Air Force circulates a classified UFOs serious business in an effort to stimulate and improve the reporting on UFOs. Investigative officers are to be equipped with Geiger counters as well as a camera, binoculars, and sampling containers. Geiger. They learned something. It's gone from having the people in the field just denying everything happened to actually giving them gear to start doing some proper field analysis. So, here we go. There's now, on the 1960 is what it's saying, JANEP 146E invokes espionage laws to prevent the revealing of UFO data. If there was nothing there, why would they put it up to such a high level of security? That answers why when people get too close to it, like I start every show, it's going to be louder. It's too freaking quiet. Gonna go to the door and open it.
Hello, Susan.
And there's Susan Goff, or better yet, if it's Officer Stadenko from the Narcotics Squadron. No, that's from Cheech and Chong. But anyway, no, it's going to be the FBI or whoever it is, because espionage laws is what's been going on.
That's what they charged Edward Snowden with. Doesn't get any more serious than that.
Yep. And if there's nothing there, and it's all swamp gas, for anyone who ever had a shadow of a doubt,
exactly,
it's right there. And it's just like, holy shit, you look at it, and it's just, yeah, I'm animated on it because it's freaking deep. This is... where do we go to next? So we're at September 28th, 65. Following the August peak of UFO activity, the UFO Office of Information requests review of Project Blue Book. Uh-huh. You said it was fake? Yeah. Well, it's the public versus the government. Going to February 3rd, 66. The USAF Scientific Advisory Board, open this down, here we go, ad hoc committee reviewed Project Blue Book. Although the committee considered most of the unidentifieds were due to inadequate analysis, they also accused Blue Book of identifying objects when the evidence collected was too meager or too indefinite. It was recommended that university contracts to be made that were more scientifically trained investigators being used. So that even shows the due diligence and stuff. The Pentagon's been talking about all the UFO reporting sightings. They just want to have different types of sensor data, and if it's not there, they don't want to consider it. Move on. For April 5th, 1966, the U.S. Congress House Committee on Armed Services recommends that Project Blue Book reports be investigated by university contract. Which universities? Follow the breadcrumbs. Oh, there we go. June 6, 1966. Dr. McDonald, maybe related to Ronald, reads the Robertson Panel complete report, which had been declassified under 12-year rule. Robertson report reclassified, sanitized version issued. Oh, wow. So it hits the 12-year rule for declassification, and then they reclassify it. And a second sanitized. Okay, we're going to... Here, you get to see this, but it's still not it. On September 19th, 66, AFR 8017 replaces AFR 2002 and transfers responsibility from intelligence to research and development. What the fuck is that? We're going to do this live. Go to the next one. I'm now looking up the is it AFR? Didn't copy it right. AFR 8017. Air Force Regulation 80-17. Research and development. Unidentified flying objects. Well, that explains that document that's out there and different UFO sites and people, whether they're questioning the reality of it or not. Now we have to add this and stamp it to the document and saying, yeah, it's real. We just have to make sure that it's not a version that was made up, though, but we can put this in the pile of documents for us to continue to go through. What is the other one that they mentioned? AFR 2002. Let's go over to here. Air Force Regulation. Unidentified. Oh, there it is. There's the original document. There we go. So, this is a crappy image, but I will find this one as well. Same place. There we go. Let's see if it's still here. Can I still select it? I will be able to. Yeah, so we got it. So, we'll add this document into the pile of things for us to go through. Man, this is like a field day for it's a field day for information for us to start understanding truly what went on in the last 70 years, now in the last 50 years. Yeah, it's got all of us like saying, holy shit. All right, so responsibility, it says paragraph 12B states Air Force echelons receiving suspected or actual UFO material will safeguard it to prevent any defacing or alterations which might reduce its value for intelligence examination and analysis.
All right. So, Thomas, read this paragraph that you're reading. like
I'm
a
looking
lawyer.
for it. I'm looking for it. Give me a second here. What is it? It's paragraph 12, right?
12B, parentheses B.
11, 12B. 12 is paragraphs 2 and 5 will be used to an aid and guidance to screenings, investigations. Oh, that's really small for you guys to see this. I'm sorry.
Just read it, narrate it.
Oh, you can't do that. I can skip to actively receiving, blah, blah, valid with information. Those reports not within that definition will be not considered. Is it just saying 12B?
12 parentheses B. So, yeah, right.
Well,
below
no,
it.
there is
To
no.
assist activities. Yeah, right there,
Yeah,
B.
12B. Here we go. 12B.
assist
To assist
activities.
the activities and personnel responsible for handling, screening, and processing initial. Let me do something here and make it easy for me to work with. There we go. To assist activities and personnel responsible for the handling, screening, and processing initial incoming UFO information, the general source and types of reports are given here. 1. Generally, initial UFO reports are received from 3 sources, either from civilian, airline, private, and professional pilots, tower operators, technical personnel, casual observers, and the public in general, by correspondence, telephone, or personal interview. B. Military units and personnel, pilots, observers, radar operators, aircraft control and warning units, by telephone, electronic message, electrical message, or personal interview. Quasi-military, which is quasi-military units, which is like ground observer corps. Have you ever heard of the ground observer corps?
No.
No.
That
Post
used to-
observers and filter centers, usually by telephone. Generally, UFO reports received from civilian sources are 2 types. Those referring to strictly an object observed UFO containing either detailed or meager information. B. Those referring only in part to an observed UFO or primarily requesting information on some aspect of the UFO program. So they were getting a lot of info. On that note, let me jump back into, where the hell was I now? Oh no. Oh, that's the wrong window. Hold on. Preview is where. Oh, there it is. Back here again. Got that. Let me get this one out of here. Back to our main. We were here. All right. Next, here we go. Here's the university. Contract was signed with Colorado University. Yes, Larry? Oh, LM. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Ground Observer Corps was Operation Skywatch. It brought civilians in to help watch the skies, and this was primarily to keep an eye on astronomical observations, and also led to the original first spotting of Sputnik.
Okay. Gotcha. But if they saw things, they wanted them reported as well.
That's right. It was an actual operation that was put forward, and it included the Harvard Astronomy Observatory, and which Hynek was the assistant adjunct director of that before he went over to Blue Book.
Absolutely. Cool. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
That's Avi Loeb's old job.
Is it?
He said Harvard astronomy is involved. That's where Avi Loeb's
yeah.
from.
Absolutely. Next is on July 29th, 1968, U.S. Congress House Committee on Science and Astronautics held a one-day symposium on UFOs at which many prominent scientists testified in favor of UFOs being real and requiring international investigation. July 1st, actually August 1st, 1969. I was a year old. A Condon report published. Condon's conclusions were not supported by staff conclusions. So he went outside of what the staff said, and he gave the official report, probably based on what he was told to have it say. J. Allen Hynek's contract as scientific consultant on UFOs of the USAF Project Blue Book was not renewed after 21 years. They shut him down. Project Blue Book closed down. We don't need to look at it anymore. It's not necessary. There's not a there. And then on the very end of this, we're up at 12/26 and through the 31st, 1969. The American Association for the Advancement of Science met at Boston to discuss UFOs. The outcome was a resolution appealing for the Blue Book data to be released.
Gee, does that sound familiar?
Yeah, we're in the same place again. Give us the info. And they look for every possible reason not to comply, not to share out the info. And we are not.
Look in it. Disclose the information.
Yeah.
They also wanted civilians to get involved, so they felt like they were part of the process.
Yeah. Wait, did we just see this one? Wait. We're up to 1968, right? No, this is... Okay. So now, we've gotten through so it looks like this report came out in 1971. So we're seeing the end of the data in 1970, 1971, because that's when this report was put out. Man, I wonder if they've got another report that came after this one. I bet you they do.
Well, of course, none of this has ever stopped.
Oh, of course, yeah. Intelligence gathering going on. So let's look at Australia's involvement with UFOs. This is a cool one. Can I do that now? Can I do this a bit? Make it a bit bigger. I can't do that. Just too big. Gotta go there. But I can do this. I'm just trying to improve the size of the text for everybody. There we go. That should make things a little bit better if you like reading along. All right, so now we're looking at the chronology of the RAAF, which is the Royal Army Air Force from Australia, and their involvement with UFOs. So if we start off next with the first event they have is January 17th, 1951, first pro forma for UFO sightings issued. Basically, here's how we want you guys to operate. On May 18th, 53, Lieutenant Colonel George Ulrich, USAF Assistant Air Attaché to the U.S. Embassy, approached the D-DAFI with a request for UFO reports to be sent to the United States. July 20th, 53. So now we've got the U.S. saying, hey, give us some of your reports, please. Lieutenant Colonel Ulrich stated that the U.S. is very interested in UFO reports from all over the world, despite the official U.S. viewpoint that UFOs are still a result of misidentifications, hysteria, or hoaxes. I couldn't say it better myself. Sighting details were requested to be signaled with photos, drawing, etc., to follow by mail. As a result of the RAF produced a new pro forma, a new policy for them to follow, and they were. Sorry, Chad, if I haven't been paying attention to you as much tonight, but hopefully everything is going there. If there's anything you need me to say, do ahead. Just do me a favor, put it in all caps and everything. I am like totally into this doc at this point. It's pretty good. So again, the U.S. is very interested in the UFO reports from all over the world, despite the official U.S. viewpoint that UFOs are a result of misidentifications, hysteria, or hoaxes. That is their PSYOP. against the American people. That is their psychological operation against the American people. Called out right there. Is that legal what they're doing? Oh, they could say it's for national security or different things, but the truth of the matter is, thank you, Australia. Absolutely. Crikey. No, that's, 11:53. So we're on November 20th, 1953. In reply to a question in the House of Representatives, the Minister for Air stated the RAAF makes detailed investigations of every such report it received. Oh, so they don't report on it. They don't do anything on it, huh? Oh, March 15, 1955, Deputy Chief of Air Staff would not permit the appointment of full-time investigator of UFO sightings. Wait a minute. Deputy Chief of Air Staff would not permit the appointment of a full-time investigator for sightings. The Minister of Air stated that the RAAF is going to do this publicly, but then behind the scenes, they're shutting it down. On February 11th, 1955, minutes from the ADFI to D, stating that the RAAF was not undertaking detailed investigations as had been indicated by the minister in November 1953, and that some form of investigation should be made. So here they've caught it. They say that the RAAF is not following the directions from the minister. What would you call a police officer who is doing something like that, Mike? Did you say they're going rogue?
It's not a question of going rogue. If you read further into it, they're going to explain that in their position, the RAAF does not possess the right amount of scientific knowledge or equipment or time to duly investigate this.
We don't have the time for this.
Right,
that's just a push-off saying, no, we don't want to deal with this. You go ahead and deal with it. Oh, the Prime Minister said that would be like Congress going and saying something to the DOD and saying, hey, you need to go ahead and do this, and then they just don't do anything and say, that's not us. Go talk to those guys.
Well, if they're not saying it's not us, they're saying they don't have the money, the time, or the personnel, or the equipment to properly look into this. But then they said that the Department of Supply
if that's further on, then
has that equipment.
Yeah.
And they want to switch it over to that.
Okay, now, if that's further in the document, we'll get to that, I guess. If that's further down.
I can answer a quick question that you made a minute ago. Is there another document like this? We are rapidly approaching that point. Because if you understand about what we're getting to right now in the document, that department that they're switching it to was the one who specifically analyzed all of the UFO reports in Australia, meaning they're in possession of those reports, not the RAAF. That would be the next document we should find.
Yes, I know. Next time, I'll find a simpler question to ask.
Okay.
Going rogue, yes.
Right.
Absolutely. All right. On March 15th, 1955, Deputy Chief of Air Staff would not permit the application of. Okay, we got that. All right. Here we go. We're now up to the 4th of November, 1955, on receiving special project report number 14 and its summary from the U.S. ADFI stated that, quote, the general tone is that the USF consider, quote, flying saucers do not exist. The special report was later destroyed. So there is the official word coming from the USAF, although they still want the information on it. The official line is they don't exist. 1955. All right, so DAFI formally requested JIB to accept the UFO commitment as a newly formed scientific intelligence section would be more capable than anyone in this directorate. The RAAF published a list of identifications of all UFO sightings from 1960 to 1965. Moving on to June 3rd of 1968, we've got a letter from a secretary to the minister for airs stated that the primary interest in UFOs was with the air defense, and the RAAF has not been concerned with the scientific nature of such sightings. So yeah, they don't care about the science of it. I guess they're more considered about war with humans versus war with the aliens. Where the U.S. has had an opposite look at it. Moving on the last one on this page to January 15th, 1970. In view of the termination of Project Blue Book, Daffy considered that the RAAF might reduce their effort. Again, trying to slow it down and not give out the info that they can. Holy cow, where am I at? All right. We got through some more pages. We're up to page 35. Holy cow. I try to get through it as quickly as I can. I'm going to have to go ahead and take that title page and get rid of the effects of UFOs on vehicles, et cetera, and just put it on chronology.
Now you know the pain of bureaucracy of working in government. Why, so.
Not so bad. Man, interesting texts we're seeing coming from Australia. Interesting conversation. Not a conversation, just chronology of events that our government has been denying forever. And, whoa, here you go. Try and deny that. You know they will, but the accuracy on this document, I'm going to say, is at a very high level. What do you think, Alex?
When I look at government paperwork, it goes, this kind of stuff is interesting, but like, I mean, you can only go through so many government documents and read so many reports again and again that it just kind of becomes bland. We have something in our culture that's just a sort of a little catchphrase about when we go into briefings, and we call it death by PowerPoint. So we go to endless PowerPoint
but
presentations.
This isn't PowerPoint. This is actually a regular intelligence document generated.
It's whether it's PowerPoint or paperwork or whatever. These things are endless. They go for tens and hundreds of thousands of pages.
These don't though. This stuff is kind of short, and it's pretty. It's a briefing that was written, and I'm just not looking at all general process and everything. There's a lot of pieces of information that are in here that are really, if you want to call it, kicking off and saying, yep, that's real, yep, that's real, yep, that's real, no, that's not. And it's going to give us a way to start truly assembling a timeline from 47. We've got till 71. We're going to have to start looking for stuff from 71 till today. But we know there's a history, there's a pattern, and, it's a way for us to start setting the record straight.
It's going to be a lot to collect and go through. And a lot of it is already archived in National Archive Service or other records, but it's just so hard to go through all of it. And some of this stuff isn't even FOIA, or some of it's just freaking lost. It's hard to even figure out where these reports go. Like, I recently gathered my records for the military to do some benefits claims and some other stuff to change my DD-214, some other things. And my report for the few years I was in is like almost 10,000 pages. That's just for me personally. So imagine a report that this is just a briefing, but imagine incorporating every single person's report and their records related to it, and all the personnel and all the squadrons, all the flights, whatever, if it's Air Force that are involved. You're looking at like tens of hundreds of thousands of millions of pages of documentation over how many years. It's just incredibly massive that you could have a team of 100 people and they would never be able to go through it in their lifetime. So there's so much of this stuff to dig. The only way to really find anything is once they're able to categorize these records and digitize them in a way where you can just data mine and search all this stuff, but the problem is most
I
of
know
it's
that's new
blacked out and a
process
lot
and
of it's not
everything.
FOIA
I'm
requested.
trying to keep the conversation back to the overall document and everything of where it is. And there's different ways we can get there, but it's just taking the existing stuff now we have and just start using it as a platform to go from. You know what I mean, LM?
It's just going to take forever to go through it this way, though, to find the actual stuff bit by bit, because there's so much information. There should be another way to like generally categorize and go through it. I think that's what the offices that they're currently creating is to try to create an archive. Like they have the reporting for the public. They're trying to organize this stuff, and I think they're going to release something, but it's still going to be heavily sanitized.
Yeah.
But there's so much information
Lee,
that they
do you have
probably
something
don't
to
even
say?
know 99% of it, to be honest, because it's so freaking massive.
Lee?
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, do you have something to say about this? Thomas just asked.
No. Who? Oh, yeah, Lee. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean, I get that there's a lot of reporting and there's a lot of documents, Alex, but with a razor focus with this, we don't have to go into everything. We just have to link these years together to a certain degree. You don't have to uncover every single stone to prove that there was a cover-up, misinformation, disinformation going on. So this isn't going to be a full, this isn't going to be a full anthology of how horribly the CIA and the military industrial complex has covered this up. We don't need a complete anthology of history on that. So I understand there's a lot of reports, but that's, in a sense, a lot of what we're getting from the government is an apologist point of view, saying like, oh my God, we have so much data now that we're required to go through. It's going to take forever. And that's ridiculous, because that's just ridiculous. We need to lay the general framework that this has been acknowledged, that these reports do exist, and we have to catch up to real time at some point. And I was going to kind of touch back onto why this stopped in 1971. Well, I know of something specifically within the United States government that started in 1971 that would have been a great reason for everybody's butts to pucker up. And that was the Nixon tapes. He was recording every single conversation that came into the Oval Office. And on top of that, he turned on the CIA in 1972. Okay, so the CIA went even darker, deeper underground. And that's why all of a sudden, all of this just kind of went quiet. And that's part of the reason why the Royal Air Force or the Royal Australian Air Force probably stopped getting information. Now, that's just my opinion, but I don't think it's coincidence.
I resonate with that opinion.
I have a question for you, Thomas. Are you familiar with working in a large corporation? Do you know what an exit interview is?
Yeah, of course.
Right. So if you're familiar with that, in the military, something similar to it would be a debrief. That's what this document is, this PDF document. It's an exit interview. They're summarizing everything that the U.S. Air Force and the U.S. government has been forcing with the Five Eyes around the world. And the reason they made this document is because it's summarizing with a chronology all the things that the U.S. government has been forcing anyone in the Five Eyes, and all the information that they contain within the dates of this document. And then they're using it to explain that they're shutting down Australia's search on this topic any further. And they're using, at the time, the classified Blue Book final release as the reason why Australia is now no longer pursuing this. So that's what this document is about, and why it lists and details all the information that it has in here very thoroughly, by the way. And what's really fucked up about it is that this document was 1970, 51 years ago, 52, and it's still relevant as of today. Nothing changed. They're using the same tactics, doing the same thing, and making the same threats. It's like it's continued the whole time, even though this PDF says that Australia ceased all operations on this based on what Blue Book was their final release.
Right.
So it just shows us this is their fucking playbook that they're still using today, and Australia is confirming that. And even though it's over 52 years ago, Nothing has changed from then to now. They're still doing all of this shit. That's why this document is so fucking important.
Yeah,
Nobody else has anything like it.
I
That's my
kind
point.
of see it as something is we're going to find out where they're at today eventually, but it's good to know where they were at the start to where they got to a certain point. It sets up a history, a pattern, a precedence, and everything else that is going to show us from that point forward potentially how we got here today. But you're shaking your head up and down there, Larry, as you put something in your mouth.
One thing about Blue
I thought
Book
Larry was
is
going to
that
say something. Yeah, go ahead.
the one thing you have to understand about Blue Book is not just focusing on that. In a larger sense, I know I'm going back to the records and everything, but there's a lot of stuff that's not FOIA based that are in a lot of classified bases and posts overseas that are not even mentioned on record still. And the thing is that the Air Force, most of the spending, most of the personnel that's active duty or deployed or actually really working is not in the United States. They're actually overseas. There's swaths of most of the major operations and spending is actually generally going to be abroad for a large chunk of the military.
Yeah.
So they're obviously going to have reporting procedures, things and stuff over there, and everything as well too. The stateside stuff is actually very small. So this one covers of them working with Australia and stuff, and plus they're working with every single ally. So
Right.
Australia is just a very small drop in the bucket.
Of
That's
course.
just a very small portion of Blue Book's aspect abroad. But it just goes so deep abroad than just Australia. There's so many other
Anyone we
aspects
give
to it.
money to.
But you got to go to look at all the other countries. You have Germany, you have Turkey, you have Korea, you have the Philippines, you have every other place that we were abroad from the 40s all the way till present. And yes, they do keep reports of this stuff overseas. The
But here,
problem
you
is
got to
a lot of it's
remember,
not
though,
FOIA requested, though.
the data that's recorded, at the level it was supposed to be reported, was of a high level under the Espionage Act. So reportings of this stuff, they could say they didn't take them seriously, but by their own rules, they had it ranked up as really highly sensitive information. If you have to think of information like that was so sensitive and the way it had to be reported, there had to be really good record keeping on stuff like that, unless they were purposely destroying the files after a certain age.
Or destroy that, but they do record file destruction for just security reasons or whatever else. But a lot of it's either destroyed or a lot of it's FOIA recorded or it's completely offline. It's just a physical copy. So it's hard to get those, but most of the stuff is not going to be state tight because people can FOIA that stuff all day long, go to court. But once it's overseas outside our borders, it's much, much harder to. And that's where probably a brunt a lot of the stuff is, because we're not going to do so much stateside. We have two large moats, Pacific and the Atlantic, and we have two allies right up the north and the south of us. Most of our operations and all the security function stuff is going to be forward operating in Europe along the counter the Warsaw Pact or over in Korea and China and that. So that's where a lot of the really interesting stuff is. Just like you've opened up Australia. Australia is, has a big concern about China, but Japan during World War II and all that. But people focus so much on the UFO topic in the United States, but the real paperwork, the real records to try to get, which is extremely hard, that Congress really needs to dig at and open up, isn't the stuff in the United States. They want traffic retrievals here. They want the UFO records in the States. They really have to go look and get the records and that whole that gold mine of stuff of all the foreign intelligence, everything from the military bases abroad. That's what they need to get. That's what people should be looking towards. But no one really talks about that too much.
I got you.
Like Australia is a good topic to go after, and there should be more topics on shows and stuff about these UFO topics abroad that U.S. works with, because it definitely is the main point that people are missing. That's just what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Larry, your thoughts?
Well, I'm not sure exactly where Alex is coming from. I don't share his view. I think that this is a bombshell document, and it's going to advance the story. Okay, it's going to mesh very well with the Admiral Wilson document, with the Project Aquarius documents, and so I think what I would really like to see is somebody with some balls like Burchett to get in front of the Defense Department in a public hearing and say, you guys are lying. This is the truth here. And I would like you to deny that this is all true in front of the American people, because I want you to go ahead and self-incriminate yourself as a fucking liar.
Oh, we got Larry pissed.
My point isn't to distract or argue or debate about that. My thing is that most of the real good stuff is going to be international, overseas, and foreign bases, and also the area that they can't really classify so much and they can't hold secret is if it's an international airspace and international
You're
waters.
just basically trying to point out
jurisdiction. It's much harder for them to hide the stuff about Blue Book and everything there. If you really want to get into the actual records and open up the UFO stuff, it's much easier to get to international.
That's the next
airspace, international waters, than to get stuff stateside where they can control it.
I gotcha. Mike, you got your hand up?
Yeah, I did. I just wanted to make a quick point. Why this document is so fucking mind-blowing is because it lays out the exact groundwork of the play that the U.S. Air Force takes in dealing with this subject from the very beginning, after World War II, when they were formed, until today. And it shows you nothing has changed. Now, what's important is, as far as the Royal Australian Air Force, the RAAF, they already explained in this document how they deal with these reports and with any information that's top secret. And let me remind you, this report was top secret at one point too. They destroy the documents. They get rid of the reports. So you're not going to FOIA it. You're not going to find it because it's not there, which is a very simple way of keeping a government keeps everything secure information by destroying and getting rid of it. That's what the Australia did in this case. So they also talked about what reports they did receive in this document, and they have it all categorized, and every incident and information is summarized with dates and times and countries. So the information they destroyed, they kept it in this document, which is why it was so top secret. But it shows us that even as of today, what the Air Force is doing. And at one point, we're all going to talk about what we've been discussing in regards to the Air Force currently. And it's going to tie back into this document as well, because it's the same playbook. Nothing has changed. This is what they've been doing then, and what they're doing the same thing now. So the information contained in this document is eye-opening, because no one really understands any of this or how it really works. Up until this document, and you covered all these points, a lot of that was theory and conjecture that everybody had in this community for decades. And now you're reading it and it's confirmed by the Australian government. Oh no, this is exactly how it works and what's been done. So that's why I think this document is important. But you also have to understand that trying to fish for any additional information after this end report, this exit interview that the Australian government put in this document, it's not going to be there. It's not going to exist. So you can thank the Air Force for that. But that's where we are with all of this. So you've just got to look at it for what it is. That was my point.
Yeah. We can blame the Air Force. Oh, go ahead, Larry.
Just very good point, Mike.
Yeah, thank you, Larry. I just wanted to cut through all the bullshit and just get right back to the point, because that's what this document is all about. Yeah. And you have to see it for what it is.
Right. Yeah. You can always look for different ways to get there. I'm just looking at it again. I think Larry sees it there as well, as just for the overall impact of verification of programs, verification of crimes against the people of the United States of America that we can prosecute on.
And I think we're getting to that, especially with the other, subject that we've all been talking about. That will lead from that into this, and it shows exactly the crimes that have been committed and are continuing to be committed on a large scale. Nothing has ended. Nothing has stopped. They haven't cut the shit out. But as far as tracking any additional information after this, Australia just explained their standard operating procedure. They destroy any paperwork that they have at a certain point.
Well, I wouldn't doubt that some of the paperwork that they got that said, destroy after a certain amount of time.
I think that their policy is to destroy as instructed by the Air Force. That's what they do, so there's no record of it, so you can't find it. That's common sense.
Right.
Our government does that too. You remember when Lou was complaining that his emails were official government content and it's illegal to destroy them? Meanwhile, when he went back to them, they were all destroyed mysteriously?
Yeah.
So you remember that, right, Thomas?
No, God, yeah, absolutely.
Right. So it shows you that even this is talking about that 51 years ago, they're still fucking doing that. Nothing changed. You can't find it if it's erased, right? Common sense. So there's only going to be so much you can find. Listen, we got lucky that this was found.
That's right.
This is a fucking roadmap. We should take the ball and run with this and apply it to what's going on today because it all ties in.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Oh, God, yeah. This is something that's just, again, it's a snapshot start to 1971. Helps us understand a lot of the foundation, a lot of the different things that have been in play. Explains a lot of different things that we've been seeing today and the same problem we're running into today with the government. And no matter how much we think that they're going to go ahead and come forward and tell us the truth, they're going to do. People have been saying, oh, they're going to try and put the genie back in the bottle. You can see why they've been doing this for how long. They always try to put the genie back in the bottle, it looks like.
Yeah, they've been doing it since Roswell. And Trinity, actually, 45.
Maybe longer.
Right. So who popped the genie out of the bottle for a brief, fresh, a breath of fresh air? It was 5 years ago, Lou Elizondo.
That's right.
If he didn't get those fucking videos out, we wouldn't be talking about this, and the government wouldn't be looking at it the way that they are. So he was the one that kind of pointed us in this direction. So, and I have a quick question about it. You see that this report shows that the U.S. government, the Air Force specifically, shared whatever information they had and gave directives as far as how they wanted it to be dealt with other countries. So do you think that that continues up until today, where most of the countries in the Five Eyes are still receiving up-to-date reports on their investigation into this?
I say any country that we're giving foreign aid to.
So you think there's updated information that's coming from the U.S. government to these other countries?
Or information from them going to the United States.
Oh, so you think it's a one-way street the way the information flows at the U.S.?
Oh, hell yeah. We want your stuff. We're not going to share everything we have with you.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked up if that's the case. That means they're getting the short end of the stick.
Well, we pay a lot of money.
Yeah.
They don't need our foreign aid now, do they?
Well, Australia does. They're a poor country. And their government is more fucked up than ours.
Well, not Australia, but you just take all the countries all over the world that we give foreign aid to.
Yeah, you know what I noticed in this report that kind of stood out to me? When they were talking about defense of the U.S., national security, they included Canada in that, like it's part of the U.S., even though it's not. I found that a little odd, didn't you?
What, in this document?
In this document, they were talking about...
Oh, yeah, no, that
defense.
wasn't the document. That was one of the documents I have here to go through. And, yeah, that's... It shows there's a long-standing collaboration between the United States military and the Canadian military. So maybe perhaps that's why when what was it? What is that one thing? Skyfort from Lou. When they went to go ahead back in time, they went to go meet with the Canadian government, and the military wasn't going to be there. That this would lead precedence that there's been a long-standing collaboration between the United States military and the Canadian military, and the Canadian military probably knows shit that the regular government doesn't know. So if they're going to be having conversation about this, that's probably why they wanted the Canadian military in the conversation.
Oh, Chris Mellon did. He threw a shit fit if they weren't going to come.
We can't say that. We weren't there.
Well, no, it was openly discussed that he refused to go to the Canadian meeting because the Canadian military refused to show up. Lou still wanted to go to the meeting.
Well, he's saying shit fit. He's just saying, no, I'm not going to do it unless these people are there. This isn't going to go in the direction it needs to go in.
Right. That was his point.
Yeah. That's not a shit fit. That's putting his foot down.
Right. Because if the military on the Canadian side wasn't involved, then, and he was also talking about a threat narrative, then there was no point. They wanted to have their scientific community be at the meeting, and he wanted no part of that. So it was interesting. But my point to you about this is it's like the Canadian government and the U.S. government are in bed with each other, and in a way where it involves national security
Here's the
for
thing.
both countries.
Here's the thing. Mellon is the guy who's trying to go ahead and pull control away from the DOD, right? He's trying to be a good person in the U.S., right?
Right.
Now, if he's going to talk to Canada and in private meetings where that information came out, and then he said the military needed to be in the conversation because of the threat.
Correct.
Based on how he acts and how he comes across, would you give him everyone would say, holy shit, there's a threat to this? Really? And this isn't the military guy coming about it.
No, Deputy Secretary of Intelligence.
Right, but this is a guy who knows about it, different things. There's information that he knows, and it's saying, there's a threat. We need to talk with your military, too, if we're coming in. It's important.
Right.
But everyone said, oh, my God, he's trying to push this false... Well, the threat narrative isn't coming from frickin' DC Muscle Wolf.
Right.
Or it's not coming from Greer either. But the thing is, and he's been always the one talking about the threat narrative, if Mellon is saying there's a threat there, Larry, what do you think? Would you see how I'm looking at that situation from a different perspective, saying, they blew us off if the military wasn't there, but if maybe there's a good reason why they want the military there.
Yeah. I'm watching Christopher Mellon very carefully because, I trust the guy, definitely trust him, but he does say things that seem to be below his level of knowledge. For example, he said that it was very important to get the DOD to take this subject seriously. Well, everyone knows the DOD is taking it very seriously. It's classified above the Manhattan Project. Okay, it's the most important story on the planet. So to say that they're not taking it seriously is either just a technique to advance the story, advance the truth. It's a strategy. It's not exactly a lie, but it is not exactly saying everything he knows, because he knows damn well that they know damn well what's going on.
Yeah. When are we going to find out that the government has been controlling mass media, been controlling what's been reported, or what they want the networks to report, and what they don't want them to report, what they want to have them leave out of the newspaper articles, coming from more of a top down, where the ownership sets the rules and different things, but it's not. It's that big dirty secret.
Yeah,
and the more we're digging into this, the more I'm seeing it's a possibility that is truly what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Not that I want to, but when back in 95, we had the issue going on in the United States with CWD now, aka mad cow disease. That was right around 2005, I think, when it was going on. 2005, 2006, I think. If you looked at any of the news, any of the reporting that went on in the United States, it wasn't being covered. It wasn't being discussed because the Beef Council was leveraging their advertising dollars against all the television stations. If you cover this, we'll pull our advertising. That was one of the thoughts of why wasn't it getting reported? Because if you went and you looked at the news reporting in the United Kingdom, in Europe, even in Canada. And actually, no, it was more of Canada, and not Canada. It was more in United Kingdom. They covered it. They covered it in newspapers in Europe and Germany that I would have translated. So it was being discussed elsewhere in the world, but not being covered here. And then you just have to look at this as another one of those patterns of, this isn't advertiser pressure. This isn't food supply pressure or different things. This is just like really dirty pool. Uh-oh, we lost your volume, Larry.
Sorry. It's like you said, anyone who is receiving foreign aid and needs it badly, they're not going to break this secret because they don't want to lose the money.
Right. Why do you think right around the same time that Avi Loeb went and wrote the rebuttal about the Ukrainian sightings and the scientists who would figure out how to go ahead and record it? About a week or so before that, the head professors of the National Astronomical Society, whatever it was, for Ukraine, two of the top people there went and write these scathing, analysis saying that how dare you go ahead and say these things we're denouncing, you have to pull our name out of the organization, you can't have it on your report, blah, 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 and basically try to go ahead and say the report was bad data. Then you had but how much money are we giving to Ukraine right now for the war? A lot. Phone call.
100 billion too much.
Yeah. Well, it's going on, but it's leveraging our money that's going there to support the United States government's or the military's agenda to keep all of this quiet.
Yeah, but let me play devil's advocate for a second. It was the Ukraine that came out with that report, that no other country came out with such accurate, detailed information on this subject. Got to appreciate that.
Right, and the guys who are doing the research, they're coming back with a vengeance on any time anybody's going ahead and trying to say their stuff isn't good.
Like Avi Loeb. Good job
Right.
on them.
So we have to look at the situation and where it is. And they're fighting back. They're pushing back on it. Even their leadership, what I was basically saying, the professors at the university or the leadership within the Astronomical Society, they're putting pressure on the scientists, saying you have to take our name off and blah blah blah, change this and change that and pull us out of it. We don't believe what you're saying. But that's just leadership. It's not actually the people who are doing the work. They're getting pressured from, I would say, United States. And I would say the likelihood of that is probably about 99.99999%. Just a guess, though.
Well, let's say you're right, and the government is pressuring the astronomy labs in Ukraine that came out with the report and telling them, shut the fuck up. They're not listening, obviously. So that's a help for us. And Lee wants to say something.
Yeah.
No, I agree, Mike.
So we look at we know Ukraine was at least in part doing some of those studies in 2018. That was before the war started. Sure, we still had Crimea, Georgia going on over there, and we love the report coming out of Ukraine. We love this document coming out of Australia and being able to read it. Specifically to Ukraine, that report from 2018, interesting. Why didn't they produce that in 2019, 2020? Why did they wait until they did to produce it? To me, it's clear. It's leverage. It's leverage for funding, which we're already providing, but it's leverage for additional types of funding, additional types of supplies, additional types of weaponry. If you want more out of the United States and you have information on something they want to keep secret, what are you going to leverage against them?
Oh, that they're gonna spill the beans on this, which the government doesn't want. So give us what we want, or we're gonna spill it to everybody out there.
Right. So now imagine the United States position right now, where all of their allies around the world, or anybody that they've done business with that has any credible reporting on UAPs or UFOs, they're in panic mode trying to cover all their bases right now, because if you kowtow to one person leveraging you, then they're all going to leverage you. And this is something the United States cannot allow other countries to necessarily control the narrative. So the United States is hemorrhaging right now, trying to get this genie back in the bottle.
Yeah, well, they locked Australia down by giving them the nuclear submarines.
That's right. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying this. I'm not saying people are stupid and can't figure it out for themselves, but it needs to be said. This is what's actively going on.
Correct.
That's a good way to put it, LM. Again, looking at the past to understand where we're at right now. Larry?
No, I just agreeing with Elle. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, well, it's the old saying: the more things change, the more they stay the same, and this document proves that.
Oh, heck yeah. Why didn't it change? Oh, yeah, it changed. I just went and took the title card. There we go. Chronology of US/AU events. Close enough. Man, there's a lot of stuff.
That's perfect.
One thing that's interesting is
Later,
that
W,
even though
Doctor.
it's not government files, there's actually a lot of UFO reports in other countries like Japan and so forth. But a lot of this stuff is not written in English. So you have to know German, you have to know French, you have to know Turkish, you have to know Japanese and Korean, or find some of their public reports, or either some of the stuff that some of the UFO community is doing out over there as well too. But like my thing is that these records are not going to be stateside for a lot of the other stuff. There's going to be tons of it, especially abroad. Like you're going to find in Australia, you're going to dig up stuff in the UK, you're going to dig up stuff in other countries. Because if you think, like, most of these UFOs are usually generally going to be around nukes, but if you're going to pound at the US stuff more and more, they've closed off, they've kept this stuff up for decades, and they're more likely going to play the same game like they're already doing, like the OVNI report was, going backwards. This is going to continue for a bit. So, but the thing is that the U.S. is only like, what, 5% of the world. You have to deal with the other 95%. Most of the nukes are not in the United States or even the continental U.S. That's where these things like to fly around. They're all abroad. They're in the subs. They're in all the nuke bases abroad. Other countries that have nukes abroad. That's where you're going to find a lot of this stuff. And most of the forward operating and deployments are going to be abroad outside the U.S. too. And there's a whole swath of UFO stuff around there that probably relates to U.S. military operations and our allies, but a lot of that is also closed off. So it's not just hammering away at the U.S. There's probably other countries that have crash retrieval too that's been discussed, from Russia, China, and probably others. But it's not just a U.S. general focus stateside. It's more like a global thing that has to open up more and more. That's why I like that Lou and the others were actually going abroad to other countries to investigate and try to open that up. This is why I think you need, like, what's happened in San Marino now with the United Nations. That's what really does need to occur, because then the U.S. then has to also open up their records with everybody else at all their bases abroad and all their records. So digging more into Australia, digging more into bases and our allies and other things abroad, that's where this should lead to. But people hammer so much at Area 51. They hammer so much at Dugway Proving Grounds. They hammer so much at Tonopah Test Range or TTR. But the real interesting stuff is going to be international waters, international airspace, and countries abroad that are our allies. And I think that's why Lou and the others have kind of given up trying to hammer away at the U.S. 24/7. They're like, okay, if you guys won't, we're going to open up everybody else and dig up everything overseas now, not just in one country, but they're going after the whole gauntlet globally and everywhere. And that's where I think they really have to, where they're going to find all those records that's going to tie back into all the stateside stuff that's been classified, all the records that have been destroyed or FOIA, like what you found with the Australian. So the more they dig in, that's dug into the stuff overseas, is going to pull up all the stuff that's been destroyed in the U.S.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point on that.
That's the only way at this point. You can't go at the U.S. anymore. They're going to drag their feet for another 50 years. It's never going to work.
Yeah.
Larry has his hand up, Thomas.
Yep, I was just about to do that, Mike, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, yeah, but one thing really quick, I hear exactly where you're coming from. And yes, digging for the stuff offshore is a good place to go, Larry.
Yeah, I just wanted to agree with Alex. I think that was a good point, and I think it was a clarification of what you were saying earlier. And I think I agree more now with you on that. I mean, I really do think that it would be wonderful if we could paint the U.S. into a corner with all these other countries saying, "Hey, we think it's real. We've got this documentation." I don't know what kind of monetary losses they'll incur if they come out with the information, but things are moving, and I think you make a good point that is, all this emphasis on Area 51. For God's sakes, thank God we moved on from there. Okay, but yeah, at least we did have to go over those local areas first, because that's where our home is, and that's where we're most easily going to get information. And so we did that. And now
You know what's
we gotta
missing
branch
from here,
out.
Larry?
Well, not yet. We're still getting Congress, but Congress is going to encircle all these people in the DOD and IC and spank them and say, "Hey, you guys got to start doing what you're supposed to." Hopefully, that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's missing here from guys? Any confirmation that the United States has actually met and collaborated with a non-human intelligence.
Oh, yeah.
That's one thing that hasn't gotten out, if that actually did play. If not, we're getting still a good idea of what happened between 47 and 71. A little bit of insight.
It's interesting that there, in that entire document we just went through tonight, there was no mention of abductions or meetings with aliens.
We haven't gotten to that part yet.
Right. Oh, okay.
They still have to get to the crash retrieval, that there's, biological elements, they might say, or whatever. I mean, that's the next stage. After they open up crash retrieval, then it's like, okay, what's in the crash retrieval? Oh, we're not going to tell you for another 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 years. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah, the craft is a psyop. 100%.
Yeah, I just want to point out as breaking news real quick in the chat. Daryl Zernick, he says 9 out of 10 proctologists prefer Avi Loeb.
Oh, yeah, I was going to bring that one up. Yes. No. 9 out of 10 aliens surveyed prefer Avi Loeb. Make that probe slide in easy. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's make it a pleasant experience if we can.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
I mean, I think we did get some
God.
kind of get some kind of wink and nod towards non-human intelligence with the original findings from Project Sign, where they said that they were troubling and I forget exactly what the quote was from that report. And as soon as that report came back with results, they're like, "Nope, fire all these guys, get them out of here."
Yeah.
I think there was signaling and communication going on at that point, and that's probably the best nod and wink we're going to get to it.
Well, we had the other one was when they said that U.S. Air Force wants us to tell us everything about all the sightings that we're seeing, but their official, line to the public is UFOs don't exist. That's the money shot so far, if there would be one.
Hey, Lee, do you want to make a point to Thomas about the diesel engines?
I think that gets later. I think that gets later into the report. We'll let him get through. We'll let him get through this and another show before we bring that forward.
Yeah.
Okay, because I thought it was a good point.
Well, it will be a great point when we get to that part of the document. Sorry it takes so long. We talk about the stuff, we try to get through it and everything. And before you know it, it's 2 frickin' hours have passed.
Oh, but it's fun. Are you kidding me? Why not? It's great the way it goes out.
Yeah. And going ahead and finding a document or going down the rabbit hole and understanding that, it's just a way for us all to, let's hang out with Tom and he teaches us about UFOs and other stuff. And we all learn about this together.
It's like we're opening our parents' or grandparents' Christmas presents.
Yeah.
They didn't get way back then.
Oh, yeah.
We're getting it now.
Yeah, they'll get it now. Just think about them. You get a nice buzz of their energy through you again. Always great to bring your grandparents around back in your thoughts.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
For all of us.
Oh, yeah.
It's a nice thought, nice feeling.
Oh, I know. Mine's still freaking cranking right now. You get good at it. You think about them. You bring them around. You feel them. Kind of one of those things.
And just like when you were talking about the Trans Am, I'm sure you got enough of a buzz. That was an exciting story. The Pontiac.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's fun stuff like that.
Oh, he's the reason I've had all nice sports cars my whole life. So He had a great way to look at things and everything. But anyway, what a freaking great show today. Holy cow. Great things to talk about all around. Where are we at? I'm trying to see the back end of the studio. Man, where's the time gone? Freaking 2 hours and 44 minutes. Hey, we got a couple more subs. 4,270. Help us hit 5,000, please. That's the next number to try and hit without actually buying subs, which I don't like doing, and I'll never do it. Just what's the point? Anyway, if you're having a good time, hung around for a while, hit that subscribe button and tell us, do me a favor. If you're having a good time, give us a thumbs up. And if not, you want to give us a thumbs down, go ahead. I'll take it. But do me a favor. Go ahead and write it right below in the description. If there's something we can do better, we have an open ear and an open set of eyes. So go ahead and try and get there. Uh-oh. No, I don't think so. We'll figure out where that goes. And on that note, where in the hell did I hide the soundboard? Let's see if it's going to work. Cross my fingers. There it is, the super chat music popping up to thank all the people who gave us some great super chats tonight. Holy cow, what a great support coming from in the audience again. I thank you so much, absolutely. If I take a look, hey look, the title card changed. Yes, today we got to get through the Australian UFO files, government document deep dive, part 2. We're actually going to have an episode 3 on this one. Today was just chronology of US and AU events, and holy shit, what an ear opener, an eye opener, and just like you're going through some of this stuff. And it took the panel who's still in the back, but more importantly, what a great show with the audience and everybody. I want to thank on that note. I pressed the magic button. It's going to tell me about all the super chats we got tonight. Would you look at that? Holy cow! Yeah. Oh my God, missed one. Susan Goff's time traveling pangolins. Who is over the shadow government running the government? This has to go much, much deeper. Holy cow, I think you're absolutely right. What a great way to support Disclosures tonight. Thank you much for all your support and everything that you do here for the channel. Absolutely. Let's see, we got W. Decker, Captain Brian, Shelley Montgomery. Holy cow. W. Decker again, Captain Brian again. They had a little war going between each other, but holy cow. Susan Goff's time traveling pangolins for saying somber Ant-Man. Thank you much for that fist bump. I love it. Absolutely. Blake McCreary, you're welcome, sir. Absolutely. We'll get Charlin. All right. I'll do it again. I'll be hating myself, but I'll do it anyway.
You'll be sorry.
Oh, that was the wrong one. All right, one last Charles for the night. Yes, we usually play, sometimes if I remember, I killed a one-night wait because we had a drinking game. Every time that we heard the word Aro, we had to take a shot. And getting halfway through that, I found a Charo thing to throw up there. My God, that was a blast. Holy cow. Thank you, Blake, for the good times. And of course, Susan Goff's time traveling pangolins, one more time for going ahead and doing that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And then off in the side. Yes, we had a great panel today. Great conversation. Great people to hang out with as I'm choking on a frickin' potato chip. Let me jump back into the studio with the chat. Holy cow. Let me hide that down. Let's see. We already have you up there right now. Crypto Mike, thanks for coming out tonight, buddy. Appreciate you being here.
Oh, my pleasure. I had fun. It was a good show tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. We thank W. Decker. He left a little bit earlier. I understand everyone's got a life that they have to get to. Next, Andy W. A bit more quieter than you've been in a while, Andy. You feeling all right?
Yeah, I'm absolutely fine. I'm very interested in it. I was very quickly, the thing that's really struck me and that I find interesting about this today was this, the 16 light years again. Oh. I looked up, obviously 16 light years was this Gliese 832C. Now, the only paperwork or stuff I can find online from when they found it was about 2014. So it's really, that's piqued my interest somewhat. How did they know 16 light years?
Why did they say it was like 16.6 or light years?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I think, how do they?
Let's push it out to
exactly find
17
out?
just to be safe, but within, yeah.
Even what's a light year between friends?
Good. We have to look into that, and we've got a couple documents to deep dive through. After we get through this one, there's other, Air Force regulations and things that have been put against our pilots in the air and everything else, and people that are, people like Seaman Staines and all the other ones who are, remember Seaman Staines, don't you, from that television show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool. Yeah.
Captain
Bugwash.
You talk about our seamen out at sea and everything on all the boats and everything. They're not allowed to talk about it. Our pilots aren't allowed to talk about it, and it's all under the Espionage Act.
I really think we're going to get a lot of information out of this document. I think West. Well, I know it's not him who's researched it, but actually bring it to our attention.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's so many rabbit holes to go down now and start actually connecting the dots. And not just to listen to all these old personalities who have been researching and looking for UFOs and having sightings and stuff. That's great. There's a lot of channels to talk about that. I like getting into now us actually being able to paint actual facts in a disclosure method to open up our eyes for where a lot of this stuff is. And this isn't just here's someone come on the channel and talk. This is to go over really vital things that are going to open everybody's eyes. It's opens up a huge opportunity for all of us to learn and move the community forward with some real stuff.
Well, we've got plenty of eyes in the chat, and people, Mike and LM, and a few others who are pretty good at researching things. I think we've got
the stuff
some great
LM
eyes
is coming up
into
with.
it.
It's just blowing me away. Holy
phenomenal.
cow!
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, he brought up a whole bunch of different things and brought up different things in the whole bit and said all these things, and it's like, oh, by the way, did you know there's a project called Zodiac that Lou Elizondo's been asked about in the past, and he said I can't say anything.
News to me.
Did you look into it? Do you know anything about it?
No, I haven't. It's been brought up in a bunch of conversations for what it potentially could be, but it's there. But it aligned with Lee's stuff that he was all researching and names and coming up and figuring stuff out, and it exactly aligned to what he had just written. So,
are you talking about the stuff we've been discussing?
Well, there's a conversation on things going through it today that I can't talk about on the show because it's in progress work product. But yeah, product Zodiac aligned to parts of the conversation.
You're talking about our conversation that we've been having behind the scenes.
Yes, it's just not ready yet. I've got a lot of irons in the fire.
Oh
yes.
Yeah.
All right, but Lee, so then you're telling me that they're mentioning Zodiac and tying it to Lou Elizondo, and it ties into our stuff?
Lou was asked about Zodiac about a year ago or so. And,
really? That's going back a year? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I seem to remember. I could be wrong. Could be eight months ago, but give or take.
I'm still working on it. And Andy, you're so right about the 16 light years and the possibility for life and stuff like that. I mean, so that was, if you go back in that report, that was back in the early 50s, very early 50s, that the Office of Estimates, again, guys, this is a very important office that runs off probabilities, determined that there could be, life within 16 light years. Well, Office of Estimates is they're data crunchers. So they had to have some data to run an estimate. Okay. So it wasn't until 1992 when the first planets were discovered publicly outside of our solar system. And that we were told that there were actual planets that they had found outside of our solar system. But apparently they knew this back in the 50s.
Are you kidding me? How the fuck did they know that back then?
Oh, yeah.
Well, if the Office of Estimates is running estimates and they're coming up with probabilities that there are life forms 16 light years away, you tell me. It means that back in the 50s, they had telescopes and capabilities of some sort to know that there are other planets out there, but they waited 42 years to tell us.
It's just too exact a figure. It's...
First of all,
it's one of the most interesting things, and I'm glad you brought it up again, Andy. It's one of the most interesting little things that I think kind of just gets glossed over in there.
Yeah. For the 105 people who didn't leave, When we thought we were shutting down the show and a bunch of people freaking kicked off. This is one of the best conversations at the day at the end, what we're talking about right now. Holy cow.
Oh, it's a lot of fun, and it's very interesting to everybody.
I know. And we got another super chat coming in from Blue Eyes saying, good job, guys. Absolutely.
I just wanted to add one more thing about that. Let's see, what was it we were just talking about?
16 light years, Larry.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. So remember they used the word say 16 light years. But I'm wondering if they may have, well, this is totally speculation, but I'm wondering if they may have been thinking about the speed of light, and maybe there's a craft that can travel at the speed of light, and how efficacious would it be, perhaps, to take a space flight that would last 32 years, 16 to get here, 16 to get back.
Well, that's just the thought of moving at the speed of light. These things are folding up time and going pop to pop, and they're wherever they're going.
I know. I'm just spitballing here.
Yeah.
No,
Exactly.
It has to defy our physics as we know it, which it obviously does.
Yeah. God's the end of the physics as we know it.
Exactly. That's the point.
All right. Great little aside at the end of the show. Freaking treat for everybody. Where the hell was I? Who's next? I think I've talked to Andy. I've talked to Crypto. You were up on there. Great. Thanks for coming out tonight, my friend.
Oh, no, listen, I was on from the beginning, but I didn't want to join the chat in the back until you got through a majority of the document, because I know you had a lot of ground to cover.
Absolutely. Alex, my friend, thank you for coming in. Great conversations, great view, and I like where you're coming from with in regards to we need to be thinking about looking for stuff that's sourced overseas.
Good point.
Yes.
I think he's still around. Maybe we got boring and he fell asleep. Hopefully not. All right. Who else? LM, thank you for coming in today, my friend.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Alex, are you there? Hello? Is this mic working? Hello? Oh. No. We lost him somewhere. We'll find him. Anyway, as we usually say, hey, we've thanking everybody who's coming out, all the super chats. We've thanked our panel. Cupcake, she's sleeping right now. I'll be able to get her up and get her going so I can get her back to bed again. But on that note, I want to go ahead and thank the people of the audience and chat who are still out there right now. What the hell's that with? Participants. Oh, our chat's dwindled off. For the people that are still there right now, we got Angela G, Blake McCreary, Blue Eyes, Censorship is being weaponized, John Dillinger, Joseph Syracuse, Pete Liebel, Tony D. El Tommy Tanker, also known as Andy. And as we usually say at the end of every broadcast, eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everyone.
Go back to Party City where you belong.
Absolutely, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Take care, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Night all. Night.
Night, Andy.